All right. So we made it. All right. So we'll kind of just chat for a bit about not a whole lot before we get going because I don't want to, spoil your story too early. We'll wait till people kind of come in. Yeah. So today we're talking to MoonbeamCharles from BC. He
Yeah,
likes
no,
his buds frosty, as I understand. Is that
100%.
correct?
It's got to be frosty, man.
They got to be frosty. So he's been breeding seeds for some time. So we're going to get into talking to him. And as usual, we got the sergeant here, the Sam Squatch, uh, and so we're getting into it. So have you? I just moved Charles. You obviously know about the seed ban going on in the States. I was just kind of reading about it today. Do you know, kind of what's going on down there in the States?
So I'm not American myself, but based off what I hear people talking about and everything, it's sounding like it's going to be illegal for them to sell seeds here pretty soon.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, I was just reading about it. It's like, okay, so there's a federal restriction on cannabis seed set to take effect on November 12th, 2026, stemming from a legislative change signed into law in late 2025. This rule redefines cannabis seeds based on their potential THC of the plant they grow rather than the seed's own low THC content, effectively ending the open online seed market created by the Farm Bill in 2018. So there's a loophole. The 2618 Farm Bill loophole. Previously, seeds were legal to buy and mail across the U.S. because they contain less than 0.3 delta 9 THC, regardless of what the adult plant might produce. So the new section basically takes that out. So it's about the potential. So I think it's actually kind of a cool time to start talking about making your own seeds, because I think for a lot of Americans, this is going to become a new hobby, perhaps.
For our neighbors across the border, it might be the only way they can preserve some of their genetics. Well, maybe not for the people who are doing like tissue culture and clones, but for seed storage, definitely
absolutely
might be your only option.
All right, so we got a couple people in the chat already. Let's go. Raymond Cowell. Let's go.
One thing I should let you know, I wasn't thinking ahead of time. With me being in the live currently, I can't be in the YouTube live chat, so
that's okay. That's okay. We got it. Okay. We'll tell you if there's any questions or anything like that, so don't worry about that, buddy. So basically today we're talking to MoonbeamCharles, as I said earlier. He's a breeder of cannabis seeds. I think kind of like a hobbyist. Am I correct?
100%, yeah.
Yeah. So you started doing this for like a decade or so, as
more than a decade, but yeah.
Cool, man. That's really cool. So why don't you start by just telling us how you got into like cannabis in general? Did you start as like a grower first, and then you kind of found your way into it?
Well, actually, surprisingly enough, one of my friends when I was younger, he really wanted me to skip class with him, and anyways, I was kind of a bigger kid, and he offered me some food if I skipped class and smoked a joint with him. So I did. Halfway through, I got a little sketched out, and I realized I had a math test. So I headed back to school. Got one of the highest grades I had the whole time I was in school. And I kind of realized, study high, take the test high, get high scores.
Nice. That's maybe the opposite of what a lot of other people experience, but I certainly didn't really feel that comfortable. I did it all through university, and I was just like, it wasn't helping me one bit, but I'm glad it helped you.
To each their own, right? I'm dyslexic. I have a real issue with reading and writing, and when I first got high, I found for the first time ever I could really focus in on what I was doing. It helped me medically a lot.
That's awesome, man. Well, glad it helped. That's awesome. So that's kind of like your first way that you got into it?
That's how I got started, and from there, one day getting my weed, I happened to see some beans in there and sparked my interest, and I just so happened to start looking into things, and I was watching these old growers. There was a Cogs Grow from Australia, and then Brown Dirt Warrior.
Oh yeah, Brown Dirt Warrior. I used to watch all his videos. I didn't know he was breeding though. I thought he was just doing like guerrilla growth.
He wasn't breeding, but that's what kind of got me in
Gotcha. Just into growing. Yeah, gotcha. Those were dope videos. He's like a bit of a showman too in his approach to the growing thing.
He's a true OG,
Yeah.
100%.
I've had a bunch of people since I got this channel going give me like flashbacks to that. Like just so many shout outs to him. I've seen in like different groups and I don't even know what he's doing now. But yeah, I feel like maybe we got kind of into it at the same time because it was maybe like, I don't know, 16 years ago, I started getting pretty serious about like growing. Was that around when you were starting to get into all this stuff? Because I remember he was popular back then a little bit.
You know, I'd love to get specific, but truthfully, like, you know,
It's just too much ganja.
you know, I've been smoking a lot. It's kind of a haze.
That's totally fair, man. I feel that. I feel that. Okay, so you got into weed, and so you got some seeds, and did you go straight to growing, or were you like right away, like I want to start breeding? No, you obviously started just growing first.
I literally watched his videos, and then I went out one night with machete, popped some beans in the ground, and seen what I could do, you know?
Nice. And how did that first grow go?
Fucking terrible. I got, out of the whole thing, I got maybe a joint.
Oh damn! What was the problem?
Well, so I live really high up, like in zone 2 of Canada.
Okay, yeah.
And we get our grow seasons from about the end of May to start of September.
Okay, wow, that's pretty short.
And then plus because we're on the higher latitude, we have really long daylight hours, which makes photo periods almost impossible.
Oh.
So that first grow kind of taught me that, you know, some things are going to make it, some things aren't. And it really comes down to narrowing down your genetics to actually get what you want. For some people, like especially for me, where it's not the easiest climate, you know.
Right. So let's set the scene a little bit for where you live. So you're coming in from BC, Canada, and you're in the like northern interior, if I'm not mistaken, correct? So the interior is like a pretty dry environment because it's on the leeward side of the mountain. So you're in a bit of a slight rain shadow. Am I correct there?
Yes, it is dry, but we get we seem to run on a 4-year cycle where we get kind of floods, and then we get the Indian summer where it's really warm, or the Indian fall where it's really warm. And some years it could be really good for the right stuff. Other years, you know, I might have to bring in some water, you know.
And the elevation is really high because the interior is like actually quite high up. You're almost at that same height as like the mountains, right? Am I not mistaken that you're like basically
I'm just at the tail end of the Rockies, pretty much. Yeah.
Cool. That's dope, man. So beautiful place. I used to actually spend a bunch of time up there when I was tree planting back in the day, and I've been all around the place. But much like you said, I don't remember anything, but I do remember Dawson's Creek because the name itself was very memorable because Dawson's Creek was still a thing back when I was out there. And yeah. Yeah, and also we had to stay, like we basically stayed right in Dawson's Creek, which is just like a small town above a strip club. We had to live in this tree planting like motel above a strip club for a month. And every night I went to bed, there was just a lot of ruckus going on downstairs. But so you're outside Dawson's Creek, you said like an hour or two or something?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Okay, so pretty far northern Alberta. So you got the puppy. What's this dog's name? Let's meet this first.
So she was a Christmas gift of mine like 2 years ago, and I was wearing a Deadpool shirt that Christmas that said "All I want for Christmas is tacos." So I named her Taco. She's been my baby ever since.
I love tacos.
So do I. She gets a little confused when it's taco night.
Nice. Dork Lovers Creek we got in the chat here. I love it. All right, so you're in a very challenging environment. It's like a short growing season, but long days. So you figured in that first grow that photos were maybe not the best thing. So you're moving towards like autos. Is that what you're getting at here?
So that's actually where it gets down to the nitty gritty. My breeding, like the way I've focused my breeding, and what I think personally, hey babies, you gotta get down, okay?
The dog is demanding attention.
Oh, she loves her dog.
We got Brad in the chat from Australia. Let's go, Brad. Thanks for popping in, buddy.
Australia, nice. But yeah, no, I got into crossbreeding the photos with the auto flowers to get something that finishes a little more early.
Mm-hmm.
And doing so, I've also made quite a few autoflower lines as well. But that's been my
I see.
nitty gritty.
So basically, I don't know if Sam knows what an auto is, but basically, there's certain plants that they don't rely on the sun cycle to go like trigger flower. It's just like a time thing. So where he's growing, it makes more sense to, I guess, move your plants towards that or to cross them so that they can.
So over
still, I guess, yeah.
Over the years, what I've done is so autoflower is a non-recessive gene, which means if you take a plant that is autoflower and you take a plant that's not autoflower, when you cross them, because it's a non-recessive gene, it's not, the offspring aren't going to be autoflower.
Mm-hmm.
They'll still have that gene, but it takes two parents carrying that gene to actually make that pass on to the next generation.
Gotcha.
And with when I crossbreed the photoperiods with the autoflowers, what happens is sometimes you find them where they're a little more photosensitive. So instead of flowering at your 12 on 12, you can kind of push it more to a 15 or maybe a 16-hour light cycle.
I see. Cool. So, okay, let's go back though. So you went and did the first grow. You determined kind of like, okay, I got to figure something out. So how soon after that did you start thinking about breeding and making your own seeds? Was it like right away or did you take?
So I took, so when I did my first grow, the first summer, I took a month off because I was trying to get a job. So I wanted to piss clean. And that month off, I had that one joint that I got from my outdoor just curing in a jar. And after my piss test, I had that. And it was a nice little treat. But as soon as I had it, I was hooked. It was, I have to do this again, you know. Even if it was just one joint, it was my joint, you know. I made it. I knew exactly what went into it. And every year since then, I've took on the challenge of Mother Nature.
I actually had the exact opposite experience when I started. I got a like probably a quarter ounce of weed from just like when it was illegal back in the day, and I was actually kind of pissed because the seeds were just, there were so many of them. I was like, there's way too many seeds in this bag of weed, and you know, at the time there wasn't it wasn't legal, so it wasn't it was okay. It was easy to go grow for sure if you had a property, but it wasn't like something that a lot of people were like doing, right? And basically right away, I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll try to make use of these seeds. So I planted them all out, and they all ended up being female. And
nice.
Yeah, I know. And I had 16 plants because I was imagining half of them were going to be male. I was even like, oh, damn, like maybe only like a few of them, maybe none of them will be female. I have no idea. Literally every single one was a female. So I was like, huh, interesting. So that was my first grow. I probably ended that season with like 3 pounds of weed, or 4 even, I don't know. And then from there, I was like, wow, this is amazing. And it was like such a beginner's luck. Like the weed was so good. It worked perfect for the climate. I have no idea what it was. So I had no way to go buy it again. And then began like, okay, I got to actually find seeds now.
You know, they brag on bag seeds so much, but when back in the day, at least, when you got a bag seed, chances are it came from somebody local. So it would have been more than likely climatized a little more to your area.
I mean, I imagine they were still growing it indoors, so like you could probably get away with growing a multitude of things. But yeah, maybe it was, I guess it could have been outdoor though, but it didn't have that outdoor like look.
You'd be surprised. I can't. So I'm sending you within 30 grams. Like we can in Canada, we're allowed to share. And
cool. I
think you're going to be surprised what you can do outdoors.
Well, I've grown some amazing weeds since, you know, and like but specifically what you're talking about, like finding strains that finish early for our environments. Like I think you're probably a little bit drier of a climate than us because our climate is super wet in the fall. And so everything I've been trying to get is like things that will finish by September, like mid-September at the latest. And that's like mostly what my experimenting has been in the last 15 years, is just like finding the right cannabis strains. And I found a few that I think are pretty good. And then you get pretty good stuff. Like I've had really good luck with Gorilla Glue, for instance. Like every time I've grown it, I've never had mold issues, and the buds end up like amazing. But then some of them don't work out, and you just have to kind of go through experimenting and figuring out, okay, that one's not good, won't do that again. And then, whatever does well comes back the next season, at least in some capacity.
That's what breeding's all about, is you got to
Right.
narrow down to what's going to work for you and your environment. And
Yes.
that's
Tell us how you got into the breeding specifically. So you obviously at some point were like, all right, I'm going to start crossing things or whatever. What was like your first cross, for instance?
okay. So when I was young and dumb, what I loved doing is just pollen chucking. I would get a new seed and I'd be like, okay, I'm going to add you to my mix. I'm going to add you to my mix. But when I got a couple
Explain
of
what
years,
pollen chucking is, because that's a term I'm not sure everybody will know.
so pollen chucking, the best way to explain this is actually to explain what breeding is and what pollen chucking is.
Okay.
And the best way to explain that would be, you know how you have your color palette where you have blue, red, or no, blue, green, yellow?
Something like that.
Blue, red, yellow.
Blue, red, yellow. Yeah, close enough.
Something like that. With pollen chucking, you're kind of just taking your color palette and throwing colors at the wall to see what sticks. With breeding, you're taking those colors and mixing them to make the art piece you want. Yeah, you have an objective, a goal in mind.
Mm-hmm.
So pollen chucking you do in one generation. I like this weed, I like that weed, I'm gonna mix them together.
Okay, but for the people who maybe don't even know like the basics here, so you're going to get regular seeds, obviously, when you're buying your seeds, is what you're describing, right? And you take the males, and you're waiting for those pollen sacs to develop, and then you're collecting that pollen.
You can pollen chuck with regulars or feminized.
Okay.
The main difference between pollen chucking and breeding is you're actually working the line. You're going through multiple generations to get it to where you want it, versus pollen chucking, you're kind of just like, I think these two will be cool.
Right. I get what you're saying.
You can still kind of pollen chuck while breeding. So like, to give you an example, purple, everybody loves purple weed for the most part, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Purple weed would be a non-recessive gene. So you could pollen chuck in the fact that you want, say I want purple weed. You can take two purple weeds and put them together, and because they both have that purple gene, it's going to pass on to the babies more than likely.
Right.
So that's a way to like kind of pollen chuck, but you can also breed because you're taking these two versus taking two random ones to make that purple, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Makes total sense. So your first attempts at this basically were pollen chucking. So you're just taking, but were you taking male plants and you were just taking the pollen and doing that as you went through the season, or were you already getting pretty organized right out the bat of like breeding?
Back when I was doing this, there was a lot of misinformation. Like when I got my first seeds, I had people telling me to squish them to see if they were viable. Like there was a lot of bro science out there.
There still is, apparently.
Still is. But I was organized in the fact that, so I had to keep things very under wraps. And my mom, who I was raised by an amazing mother, but she was definitely against cannabis. So I had to make sure she never knew. I was working with a lot of constraints myself. So it took a few years before I could actually really take this serious and start working different lines.
Right. I see what you're saying. So, but you were collecting some amount of seeds through your pollen checking.
Oh yeah,
you were getting more organized as you went.
I got every bean that I. So
let's
give you an example.
Some seed.
Give you an example. Older beans, like some of the first stuff I worked with, my purple quartz, versus newer stuff. There's a little more organization. I got old bags versus these, which are more compact. I got 4 different containers for each one. I've definitely upgraded over the years, that's for sure.
That's dope. So you get a little more serious about it. But do you have seeds from back like at the beginning, like when you first started out?
I've got seeds from before I potentially started out. I've got seeds all the way back from 2000. 8.
Damn, that's dope. Well, I would love to try some of your seeds at some point. Perhaps we
You're
can.
you're gonna get a few special ones here.
Oh, well, I'd love to trade these with you. We don't
More
have
than
any
worth.
seeds, but we do have honey. Would you be interested in some honey sent your
You
way?
know, your honey looks amazing. The love you guys are giving your bees.
Oh, thanks, man.
I see that little beach you guys made.
Oh,
Like,
you checked out the beach? Yeah.
oh, I bet you
They
that's.
don't even like it though. They're
I
going for
would
the
love
other
some honey.
option.
I
Okay.
bet you that's some awesome honey.
Yes.
Okay, well, Sam's the captain of the honey ship, so she'll make it happen. We're gonna work on a little label too.
Oh,
I don't
nice.
know if we can send it to the States so much, but people in Canada, if you want some honey, we're gonna have a lot of freaking honey. So we'd love to send it out to people. But Moonbeam Charles is a very worthy recipient, especially if you're gonna hook us up with some seeds, man. That's dope.
So I posted 2 shorts there of some purple weed and then some of my personal favorite weed. And I'm going to be sending you both those and some beans
Thanks,
to
man. And
match.
dope. And we were talking about the environment here being we don't have the longest growing season either, and it's quite humid in the fall here. So do you have anything that might be like ideal for such a climate?
So you're thinking I'm a little more drier than you, but a big thing I notice is being so high up, we get those cooler temperatures. Like I'm looking at
That's true.
At the start of September, we're looking at maybe +3, 4. We're
Okay,
pretty.
so it's still so it's pretty humid by that time of year, eh?
The morning dew that collects on the
that's
just raises raises the humidity through the roof. So I've got some pretty resilient stuff I think might help you out.
That's awesome, man. Well, we'd love to try it out. We got multiple spots that we're growing in, so we can try them out in a couple different spots. I might even use them for my. I'm going to do a different gorilla grow next year that I have a kind of a cool concept lined up for it. So maybe I'll bust it out for that.
I noticed you like the purple there that I posted.
I did like the purple you posted. That was the one.
You generally like the more purpley stuff?
One of my favorite buds to grow or like strains to grow that I've done multiple times is Purple Kush. I've had such good luck with getting like really hard buds, in an outdoor environment where they don't seem to be so susceptible to the mildew. So I've done a few different purple like lines, but that's the one I've done the most.
So I got one that I've worked on for a long time. It's called Purple Quartz is what I've named her. She's
Good name.
She's a mix of just bag seeds, pollen chucking from when I was a kid. And then when I got serious, I took a few local stuff and a Dark Devil autoflower from Sweet Seeds. And I started working with that. And what I've done over the years is, so specifically for mold and mildew, I haven't really taken like the phenos, which is like your different individual plants out of your line. The phenotypes that I selected over the years, I haven't gone for stuff that is more round buds. I've gone for stuff that's more pointy, so that way it helps shed off the rain, the water. It doesn't really trap that moisture in as much.
Cool. And you find that works? I've never even heard of that. But it makes sense. That works for you though?
It's one of the traits that I've isolated through my breeding to help make her a little more resilient,
Okay.
And then she's got that Dark Devil autoflower, which I've narrowed down about 3 different phenomes where it's they flower at about 15 to 17 hours of light. So you can veg them all winter, throw them outside, and they pretty much start flowering almost right off the bat.
Damn. So you're harvesting in like early September?
Oh, I'm down by September 5th. Yep.
Damn, that's dope. So you just avoid the whole mold scene altogether.
For me, that is the mold scene because I'm pretty.
I see. Wow, it's crazy to see like people from different areas and what they have to deal with. Because I'm sure if you came here, you'd do great. It's fine. But like I've just been dealing with like the same situation for years on end, and I would love to go grow somewhere else because I haven't really done it.
So I'm a breeder, and I've been really working my lines. But one thing I'm kind of guilty of is I haven't tested my lines in as many biomes as I want to. So
Okay,
like,
explain. Oh, sorry. Explain what this all means. So, first of all, like pheno hunting, like I know what that means, but maybe some people don't. So, just explain like how you would like what are you looking for? What are some qualities that you are trying to isolate? You mentioned the pointiness, but like what are some other things that you're like you were even talking about
so
dominant and recessive. So, like how do you make those decisions, and how does it play out in your breeding cycles?
that's what you learn from working your lines is that's also the difference between a pollen chucker and a breeder is you got to come at it with a plan. You got to make your objectives known. You have to say, okay, this is what I want out of it, and how am I going to get it? So when you're saying, how did I know to pick out those traits? It's over the years of doing this. I noticed this plant was more resilient. Why was it more resilient? So you start noticing that like maybe your rounder buds trap more of the rain, or
Hmm.
your pointier buds shed it off more.
Hmm.
There's little things like that. So like another little trick. This isn't science. This is
Bro
experience.
science.
It's
I'm
bro
just
science,
joking.
but it's
I'm joking.
experience you gain from
Yeah,
watching the
yeah.
film. Is
Over and
for,
over again. Yeah.
for me, I've noticed in working many different genetics over the years. Like I don't really know many people that haven't tried or worked with their genetics.
Mm.
One thing I've noticed is I find it's hard to explain, but I find plants that have really big fat leaves that tend to cover up their undershoots tend to be a little more potent in my experience. And I
Mm.
think bro science tells me like that some of these plants come from like high up in the mountains where they got the really high UV radiation just beaming on them all day.
Yeah.
And part of the plant's defense mechanism from that is building trichomes.
Hmm.
And what I've noticed is like those big fat leaves, they kind of protect the new growth, like your shoots, the fresh cells that are just developing. And I think that's kind of a characteristic that's came from these cultivars that are up in the mountains that need that extra defense to protect them versus
Hmm.
like a sativa where you get those thin leaves where light can hit every little bit of it. It's
Absolutely.
not quite doing the same thing.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So like okay, so you got the like do you ever try to isolate for potency? Like you said the leaves, so that's like one of the indicators, but obviously you're like trying this stuff out and you're seeing like this tastes better or whatever. Are you trying to follow that as well, like the potency kind of
So, uh,
qualities?
so when I was young, there was a guy that was very generous to me. I would go out to his place and I'd help him trim sometimes. I'd tell everybody I was chopping wood, but I'd be out there helping him trim his crop. And he had a plant that he called the 98 hash plant. And to me, that was heaven. It was, you took a hit, like if you sparked up a joint, someone would smell you smoking that joint up to 3-4 kilometers away, like a mile away. You would exhale and you would just leave this taste on your tongue.
Mm,
So my thing is when I'm breeding, I'm always going for that little piece of heaven, that hash plant flavor,
mm, mhm.
but I need something that can work where I'm at. So I'm looking for both flavor, potency, and resiliency.
Okay. That's awesome,
Bag,
dude.
bag of peel is nice
Resiliency in
too.
the sense of like against mold or problems.
Yes. If
Okay.
if I could reduce the crop loss in our industry by 1 or 2%, I would be ecstatic. 100%.
That's so you mean with like outside of your grow? Like you want to
So I've taken I've done courses through the pharmacology or the Pharmacology Institute of Ontario.
okay.
I got my master growers diploma through them. I've got my good production practices. I've got a few different things, and I've spoken to some of the companies in our industry about potentially introducing my lines, and it would be nice if I could reduce our crop loss.
That's super dope, man. Well, I'm very interested in that. But we got you got a question in the chat. Can you see that on the screen there? So this is another dude from Australia, which is super awesome. We got a couple dudes coming in from down under. But you want to read that out for us here?
At what's sorry, I'm a little blinded here. 1 second. At
All
what
right.
stage do you pick a potential plant to grow when there's only room for a few out of the dozen seeds? Okay, so cross pollen, what would you look for in seedlings? Okay, so when you're hunting your phenos, you're hunting your lines, you want to start from day one. Every bit matters. It sounds silly, but take notes. Every little bit matters from day one. When it first pops, you want to be paying attention. How wide are those leaves? How many days did it take to pop? You know, did it take 5 days to germinate, or did it take 48 hours? And then for figuring out what to pick, it comes down to your personal preference. What is working for you and the goals you have.
Okay. And so if you're going along and you're like trying to find the one that you want, do you not need to wait until it's actually like done though to have the smoke part of it, or are you making those assumptions ahead of time?
No, don't assume ahead of time. Don't ever assume ahead of time, because I've seen it where you have the most beautiful thing. Like so that purple one up there, that you'll be trying here. She's amazing. She's beautiful. She's crystally as all hell. She works pretty much anywhere. She has this strong tangy flavor, like that Agent Orange. It's not my thing. I thought she was the best thing on earth, and then I smoked her. I'm like, fuck, this is the best thing for a lot of people, but not me.
Interesting. Okay, cool, man. Well, I'm just checking out the chat just to make sure we don't have any other questions, guys. If you got any questions for MoonbeamCharles, this dude has been breeding seeds for some time, and we're gonna get into it because we want to start making our own seeds. I think I'm kind of leaning in the direction of doing the silver colloidal kind of method, just because I really just want to like I am interested in all the breeding and everything, but I don't really have a ton of room where I am, which I'm also curious about what your thoughts are, like doing it on a limited space. I know that you said you have like 30 acres or something in your place.
I
Not
have
that you use it all.
I have 55 acres, but I only stay within my limits. I know my limits and I stay within them.
Right. But yeah,
So
so for me, it's like I don't know if that's really my goal is to make it all about breeding. I'm kind of more about like I just want the weed to smoke at this point. So I'm more interested in preserving like certain strains just for the next season. And if I could do that, is that a good option for somebody who's just like wants to dabble in it?
That's that's exactly how I started. You know, as I said, I had a mother who would have not beat my ass, but you know, I did. She would not be happy if she knew I was growing. So you can do this in a shoebox, and I know that from personal experience.
I see. That's really interesting. We got somebody from Finland in the chat. Oh, is he from Finland? I see. I see. I thought he was from down under, but he's not. Okay, so silver colloidals array. So you were saying to me ahead of this interview, you were saying you make your own. So tell me, like, how do you make so for people who don't know, I don't know, Sam, if you know about this, but if you want to like make your own seeds, you can actually spray this stuff, silver colloidal, which I'll let MoonbeamCharles explain, but you spray it on a singular branch if you want, and that branch will basically make the pollen sacs and it will pollinate itself essentially. Is that right, MoonbeamCharles?
So the way so you can either use colloidal silver or silver sulfate. I do colloidal silver myself because I do have a machine for making it. It makes it very convenient. But for the most part, I would recommend silver sulfate because it is more shelf stable. But the way it works is colloidal silver is a very tiny ion. It's a very tiny particle, basically, and it tends to cling. It has a static cling to things, and it cuts off the oxygen supply to the cells, which hormonally will trigger them to go into male. So you can take just one branch, treat it with the silver sulfite or the colloidal silver, and have just that one part turn sex on you. So it'll go from a female to a male, and then you can self-pollinate or hybridize it and
I
have
see.
feminized seeds. Yeah.
I see. So does it make a pollen sac on it, and it just only travel like it only stays right there, or does it just explain that part?
So you want more than just like one pollen sac. So what I like to do is I'll take one branch, and at about, under perfect circumstances, at about the first week or a week before flower, I'll start treating it with the silver. And then that branch from top to bottom will have every spot where you would have a bud, instead of having a bud, you'll have a cluster of pollen sacs.
I see.
But
Gotcha.
sometimes if you overstretch a plant, like let's say you go for 12 weeks, you can get these like individual nanners.
Okay.
And that's another way to self-pollinate as well.
Okay. So do you need to collect them at that point, or do you just let them kind of go? You got to collect the pollen, correct?
That's totally up to you and what you're doing. So let's for you specifically, like you're working in a very, you don't want to waste your whole crop on just
No seeds.
yeah, like that's a waste of time, right? So what I like to do, and this is some tricks I found over the years, pollen dies from water. So you can use water, you can use a little spray bottle, spray that'll keep the pollen from spreading. Another trick I like to do is I'll take a bag, I'll watch my sacks. You can see a sack the way it they've got these lines that'll go from the top or the bottom all the way to the top, and you'll see them starting to stretch. And just before they're about to pop open, what I like to do is I'll put a bag over it and twist that off, so that way that pollen can't spread throughout my whole room.
Nice.
And then once I've noticed all the sacs have opened up and it's released all its pollen in the bag, I'll just cut that branch off, and then you can take that bag with a paintbrush or something and just put the seeds exactly where you want them. So you're not destroying your whole crop. You could take one or two nugs and get some beans out of those.
That's super awesome, man. So when you're doing this and you're just like painting on, like, how many seeds out of, like, say a bud, I don't know what an average bud is, but like, like something that we can imagine, like, how many seeds are we talking here? Like 100, 200? Is that kind of about right for like a branch on like a, I've seen your plants like on your videos. Like, are we talking like,
this is what's kind of crazy is every single one of those hairs you see can be a seed.
Damn.
Every two sets of hairs could be a seed.
Oh, really? That's so cool. That's interesting. I guess that makes sense because they always come out in the two sets.
Yep.
That's so dope, man. So that's a lot of freaking seeds.
Yeah.
And okay, so now with I want to go back to the silver colloidal thing. So what is this machine you have to make it?
Shoot, I wish I brought that over.
Can you just describe like what it is and how it works?
Basically, the way it works is I plug it into the wall, and then it's got two.
We're losing your audio here, bud. I don't know what happened.
Oh,
is it just me? Oh, maybe it's me. Hold on one sec, guys. Hey,
while he's getting his stuff figured out, in case the chat can hear me, the way it works is you plug it in, and you got your two silver rods that you put in water, and it runs electricity through those rods and separates the silver into the water through the ionization. It's it's pretty easy. You got to watch out though. There is some fumes. You don't want to be breathing it in. Are you good now?
Sorry, I had my mute on there. So are you using the same piece of silver when you do this? I don't like, is it just the same thing over and over?
So it's got two silver rods that poke out of it, and then those I put into the water, and over time they wear down. So
I see. That kind of makes sense.
But it's so minimal. I can say two rods lasted me like 7 years.
And was it okay? So because you're doing this regularly, obviously that investment is kind of like sensible. But is it an investment? How much are we talking here for like a setup?
I think don't quote me on this because it's been years since I bought one, but I think my silver maker was maybe $25.
Damn, that is so cheap. That's awesome. So you have like perpetual material for making seats. You don't have to
Yep.
worry about that if you want to go that direction of doing the silver colloidal. But at this point, are you still doing that? Or yeah, I guess you would be if you're getting new strains, right?
For me, the colloidal silver is the way to go, just because it's right there. But as I said, for anybody else, if you're not going to make it yourself, if you're buying it from somebody else, your best odds are the silver sulfate. Just because if it's sat for a month or 2 months, it's kind of inert at that point.
Interesting. I actually have some right here that I bought like 8 years ago. And this is my first attempt at doing it, and I wasn't successful. But I wasn't really on it because I was too busy with like life, and I was trying to manage it with an outdoor thing, and I just wasn't spraying often enough, I guess. Maybe that was the case, but
The
I'll
way
have to
I
take-
the way I like to do it is I'll spray, as I said, just the week before or the first week of flower. I'll spray it once every 3 days. You don't want to do it every day, but once every three
ah,
days, and do it at nighttime, just before your lights go off.
and why is that?
So it's light sensitive, and I've found just over the years that if you spray it while the lights are on, it's less effective.
Hmm.
You can
I
still
see.
get pollen sacs. It's less likely.
I guess it would be less like it wouldn't evaporate as fast if you're doing it at nighttime, right?
There's that aspect too. Yeah, 100%. Your VPD is
Hmm.
different.
Okay, so for my setup, because what I'm thinking is like I want to just do it for fun. And my indoor grow isn't really like a thing for me that's like I'm reliant on it. But I do have it to set up, and I was like, well, maybe it would be cool to take some just cut a bunch of clones yesterday. Um, do you think it'd be cool to like do the silver colloidal like situation in an enclosed space? Because then I can just kind of like go for it on like a small controlled plant. Does that make sense?
I'm a little confused here. Do you mean like just doing it on a small little clone?
Like I have an indoor grow tent, right? So I was thinking of just like I have a bunch of clones. So would it make sense to make my indoor grow like my seed zone? Because I don't need the indoor grow for anything other than
It would
fun
work,
and
it would work perfectly. And then yeah, you wouldn't have to sacrifice all your plants. You could just use one little clone out of the bunch. Yeah,
okay, so I need silver colloidal. Can you hook me up?
yeah, 100%. I got you.
You're gonna send me some?
Yeah, no, I like to. So I've given it to my friends in the past. I like to wrap it in electrical tape to kind of like make sure there's no sunlight getting to it, and I'll be
Dope,
sending
dude.
you some here pretty quick.
Dude, I really appreciate that. If people are just coming in, this is Charles. If you want to check out his channel, we should drop the link in the chat. Maybe even just post something in the chat when you get a chance, if you can, afterwards, or like, well, this is happening. I'll try to grab the URL.
I'll post my channel link after. I can do that, no
Okay.
problem. I'm
Okay.
gonna be
Cool.
on my channel. Like just kind of I like to leave little Easter eggs, but for the most part, I'm just kind of throwing throwing stuff out there. You know, you get to see my
Man,
plants here and there. But
I have been loving it, man. I honestly really like learning in the cannabis world, and I feel like, sometimes we're all doing a lot of the same things. And your channel's been kind of refreshing for me because I'm like, here's a
nice.
guy who's like literally just like living the dream, like as far as being out in the woods and like having the space to do this stuff. Obviously, you have some limitations and like how the climate is, but you've got like just a picturesque spot. So like right off the bat, I'm in love with your like actual space.
It is my
And
little Eden. It is my little Eden, 100%.
you're challenging yourself to learn things within cannabis, and I think it's like not that the community isn't all about learning. Everybody's learning all the time, but I think when you get to breeding, I think people like check out, and I like to see people kind of pushing the envelope. So honestly, guys, if you want to check out some cool content, check out his channel,
Oh,
Moonbeam Charles.
I gotta say, I love your swamp videos. When I was younger,
Thanks, man.
I did some stuff on beaver dams.
Oh yeah, you were the guy who was in the chat. Yeah, tell us about that. But yeah, keep going. Tell me more.
I love gorilla growing. That's always been my passion. Yeah, I do indoor. I got a high pressure sodium, 600-watt high pressure sodium. Just
Nice.
outdoors where the fun is. You know, it's not perfect. You got to work with what you got. And when I see your swamp videos, it reminds me so much of those fabric pots I used to put on the beaver dams, and it's so much nostalgia, man. It's amazing watching your content as well.
Oh, dude, that makes me feel good. Yeah, no, honestly, like it's funny because when I actually did this like same grow like 10 years ago, and it was still illegal at the time, and I was just doing it for fun, and I videotaped it, but I've like since lost the videotapes, like the content.
Yeah.
But it made me feel crazy because I was just like out in the swamp recording things, and I never actually used it for anything. But it worked out great, and I was like, oh man, this is like so much fun. And then as soon as it became legal, like there was really no point to go out and do these things. Like
You're,
why
you're
go to
kind
the
of
swamp?
you're
But
kind
it's
of
so much
right.
fun.
Nobody does it out. Nobody's doing these guerrilla grows where they're testing their limits because we got tents, we got everything just there.
Oh yeah, or even just your backyard now. Like if you're in Canada, it's like there's really no reason to go anywhere. And but I love it, and personally, it's like a really great excuse to go for a hike that I have to go on. It's like
Hundred
I'm not
percent.
really reliant on what is going to come of it. So worst case scenario, I'll make a bunch of hash out of it. But
Or
like
get there.
it's like I'm hoping we get it to the finish line just for the sake of like the internet. So tell me about the beaver dam grows because I actually have some ideal beaver dams in my same zone as that, as if you can believe it. And I'm kind of curious of like your experience of how that all went.
Some of my best yields came from beaver dams because it's almost like a natural. It's if you can get it right, if you can just get that needle through the thread or the thread through the needle,
Hmm.
it's almost like a natural DWC system because
Mm,
you'll have your top layer, which will be your fabric pot or your soil, and then you'll have your sticks and then your water level.
hmm.
So once the roots work through the
Yeah,
sticks, you get that aeration plus your water level, and the yields you can pull are just phenomenal.
that's fucking
It's
dope, man. There's a guy I just found on YouTube. His name's Cali Greenish Thumb, and he's doing a creek grow, and he
okay.
has it on in tote bins, like Rubbermaid bins, and he's in Oregon, so it's like really good environment. And the creek is like maybe like a meter or two embankment, so he has the tote bins up on these like kind of blocks, but you look underneath and it's just like roots like
Yeah,
exploding out right into the water, and the plants are massive.
yeah,
If you
it's
guys want to check out
amazing.
some cool adjacent like content, check out Cali Green Thumbish. I think that's his name.
Cali Green. I'm gonna have to
Oh,
check him out for
Cali
sure.
Greenish, Cali Greenish Thumb, or Cal Greenish Thumb.
Like,
Anyways, check it out. He's super dope. I'll try to reference him in the post up here. But anyways, man, that's so cool. So you did that, and you got like huge yields. What were you getting off the beaver dam grow?
so, the one of my best years with Beaver Dam grow, we got a flood, so the water level was really high. So it pretty much was just touching the bottom of my fabric pots. And then as the year went on, the water level dropped, and it just the aeration was just perfect. And off those plants, which I did veg over winter, I pulled probably 4 pounds
Damn.
off
That's
one. Like,
wow, on a beaver dam. So,
yeah,
did you ever get any altercations with the beaver of said dam?
I took a chicken wire, and I kind
Mm.
of wrapped it around the base so they couldn't chew down the base,
Yeah, yeah,
and no issues. I got to see them a little
yeah.
closer than I wanted to a few times, but yeah.
Tell us about that.
Well, what I'll say is beavers can get pretty defensive.
They really can.
Yeah,
They're actually known to kill dogs. They lure them into the water because they're so territorial, and they'll like bite their jugular and kill them. That's my mom's a vet. She's told me that's happened, and she's had to be there for it.
when I was working up in high level, we had a lot of contractors who were from like different countries and stuff. And we had a guy from Africa. And I was walking by the train yard, which we had like a swamp just outside of that. And I couldn't believe it, man, because I walk around the corner and I see this guy from Africa just way up on a pole. He's just like holding himself up in the pole. And I see this beaver off in the corner. And I'm like, what are you doing, man? He's like, there's a beaver. There's a beaver. I was like, aren't you from Africa? Don't you have like lions and stuff? He's like, those things chew down trees.
It's fair. Fair point. Yeah, it's funny how things don't seem scary when you see them all the time, but to other people, I suppose they are. I don't know. Cool, man. So you did a beaver dam. Yeah, I remember you commenting. I think that was one of our earlier interactions on the page. Was you mentioning that? There was the other one where I did my Bilbo Scroggins post, and you took exception with it.
Bilbo Scroggins.
You didn't like that.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. You know,
Sure.
so I'm old school, and you're old school. Like we're both past 30. I'm thinking.
I'm past 40 now, man.
Yeah. So I'm in my mid 30s. You're past 40. We both come from a different era, and I think you remember in the High Times magazines, you'd see
Mhm.
these Dutch, these Holland greenhouse grows, sea green systems,
Mhm.
where it would be just a plant from clone put into flower, and you'd get like just a straight cola. And
Mhm.
that's for years. That's what we called sea green. And then all of a
Right.
sudden,
It became something else. Yeah.
the straw guys came in, and it's just yeah.
To be fair, I always call it just a trellis netting. But for that video, I thought it would have been funnier to call it Bilbo Scroggins.
You know, it's good. You got some beautiful ladies scrogged out there.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, I was pretty happy. I didn't really start. I usually start a lot earlier. Like my grow, I kind of lost a property. I used to live on a. I used to have an island property, and I had like a big. We're on the Canadian Shield here. I don't know if you know what that is. No.
Not
Okay.
exactly.
So the Canadian Shield is basically like this area in Ontario, and it stretches across the country to a certain point. But where the glaciers like basically took everything back to bedrock. So up in like Muskoka, basically where I'm growing, it's like the bedrock is always right there, and the rock you're looking at in the bedrock is like 4 billion-year-old rock. Like it's
Yeah.
some of the
I know. I
some of
think I know what you're talking about now. Yeah.
yeah,
Holy.
so in Muskoka, like the trees literally grow out of the rocks. Like the trees grow into the rocks and they make their like root like areas. It's really amazing to watch the trees like make their situation. So our situation is like it's really big forests, like everything's super tall, but then there's these areas where the Canadian Shield is just like nothing's going to grow here because it's just solid bedrock. And that's kind of like where I mostly grow my plants is like in these like little outcroppings where you can kind of get some sunlight because
Do
everything
you know?
else is like
Do you know what kind of rock it is? Like we got a lot of lime.
it's an igneous I think rock, like it's like it was formed within the like thing, but the glacial like has ripped everything back to just that.
Okay,
I think it's must be granite, I bet.
that would be
Yeah.
difficult. That'd be really difficult. I do some stuff on. I have done some stuff on limestone slabs,
Hmm.
and the pH can be just horrible. But I've never done.
Well, this is just like pure rock. Like there's nothing there's it's like basically growing on like a flat surface. So all my grows have just been like basically like making pots on top of this
Yeah.
situation and then having like a drip system or something where you can. So my idea for my grow next year I'm going to find one of these like outcroppings of Canadian Shield, and then I'm going to have like a catchment system for the water. So I'm gonna like plumb. I'm like an amateur plumber, I guess you could say, but I'm gonna make like I have a bunch of like 5 inch deep kind of bus bins, and I'm gonna plumb them into a barrel. So
Okay.
basically, I can, like catch the water, and then it will drain into a barrel, and the barrel's gonna have a drip onto the plant. So
That's
basically, I'll get the water out of the way because otherwise, there's nothing. Like the bedrock is like nothing's coming from that as far as water. So then I
so.
take care of that, and it's out in an open area where nothing can really grow on it because it's like pretty much Canadian Shield.
One thing I always stressed on for myself doing my gorilla stuff is I never want to mess with nature. I'm kind of curious, what soil are you bringing out for these little divots that you can use?
Um, Divots? You mean like just making the pots themselves, like
Uh,
wherever I'm going to grow it in?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, I basically just take topsoil from the forest. So like the swamp grows, I'm basically just using topsoil. And then I've brought in castings or I've brought in, and when I get topsoil, I also go down like a little bit deeper. So I'm catching like the loamy type stuff.
Yeah.
So that's all I've been using in the swamp because I don't want to bring in a bunch of stuff. Like I did grow there, like I said, 10 years ago, and I brought in some Pro Mix, which some people pointed out in the video and were trying to call me on not having what I said, which
You
was
got to
like
start
natural soil.
somewhere, right? I'm guilty of doing the same things. I'm sure there's some KFC cups out there somewhere.
Yeah, well, exactly. This is a long time ago, and I was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna go to the swamp and make this happen." And so this swamp grow is actually on top of that grow, and I've had so many people complaining about oh, it's not high enough. It's not high. Like the last time I grew there, I got 10 ounces from the plant. I visited like 5 times max, and it was a foot lower than it is now. So I'm pretty sure I'm good on the levels there.
It seems like you're getting a nice dry back through the season too. Like it
Yeah,
was pretty wet, and now it's starting to kind of dry out
which
a
is
little more.
Which is what I knew was gonna happen, but I know the internet didn't know that because I've been in
Oh,
this
they
area.
never
Just
do, man.
we get fire warnings in our area big time. So it just dries out through the whole summer, and then you're left with basically what it is now, which is like not a whole lot of water. But this strain that I'm doing is bubblegum Kush. So it's basically supposed to be done like mid-September. So I'm hoping catch I'm gonna catch a break here and get it flowered out and just be done right before the
But
moisture comes in.
Bubba's one, like if it's got those Bubba lines in it, Bubba Kush or Bubblegum Kush,
Mhm.
they tend to finish pretty quick. You're looking at like a 7 to 8 weeker. That's a good classic one.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I try to buy all the seeds I get locally from local breeders. That's the big thing I've been doing, and I always ask the people who are making them, like, "Is this good for what I'm doing?" And I try to get some information out of them. Cool, man. So what are what are some breed or some seeds that you're, like, particularly proud of? Like, could you tell me some of your hits that you've come to in these years of breeding experimentation?
I got to pay homage where homage is due. 100%. Pay your dues always. Uh, so with my lines, there's one cultivar that's in everything I work with, and that would be VIP Seeds Landish.
Okay.
For flavor, it is phenomenal.
I don't think I've
It's
heard of it. Landish?
Landish. It might be ladyish actually. Landyish, I think,
Okay.
from VIP Seeds. But it's not the best bag appeal, but for
Mhm.
flavor, it's far above most
Cool.
things I've seen. And then for homage, like paying dues, there's a guy in New York, so on the East Coast where you're at, named JJ. He used to live in New York. Now he's in Washington. And JJ taught me a lot of tips and tricks over the years. I've got some of JJ's beans, and I got to say they've been good beans. They've never done me wrong. Uh, so Uptown Grow Lab seeds, they're definitely a good company. Never had any
Cool.
issues with them. For our American friends over there, get them while they last. He's a great guy. Not only is a good weed, he's a great guy, and he's done a
Cool.
lot for our communities.
Dope, man. I don't know enough about all the breeding and everything, but it sounds like there's a lot to learn in the community of breeding.
Some other ones that kind of stand out would be like Jungle Boys. It's good weed. Might harm on you, but pretty good. Copycat. Everybody rags on him because he'll take somebody's hard work and he'll just copy it. But
Mhm.
he is copying somebody's hard work.
Mm.
So
Cool. I got to give a shout out to Miko in the chat. He's coming in from Finland, which is what I made a mistake earlier about him being from, or somebody being from Australia. So this guy's been hanging out for a while, but I know the timing never really matches up. I think it's like 5 a.m. in Finland, if I'm not mistaken. So the dude is committed. I don't know if I'd get up at 5 a.m.
what's he saying down there?
Oh, he's just saying cheers from Finland. I'm
Fuck
hoping
yeah.
he's out there, but I haven't heard anything else. We have some questions. Okay.
I know a couple good guys from Finland actually.
Yeah, I'm curious about that. I'd love for Mika to pop up here so we could talk to him about what it's like to grow in Finland. It sounds like he has some kind of grow. Um,
I got a buddy who's got a little 2x4 tent in Finland, and he's doing the Earthbox setups. I don't know if you've ever worked with those.
no, what's that?
Earthbox is where you have your pl- your pots are constantly in water, so the bottom layer will have water, but then most of your medium, like your soil, will be above that. So
Hmm,
it's almost hydroponics, but still doing soil. It's kind of
right.
neat. He pulls phenomenal results with his earth boxes there.
Yeah. Well, especially when you're doing something where you don't want to do a lot of work. I think the best thing I have going for me for the swamp grow is like I don't have to worry about water. I haven't watered them once since I started. I don't even have a container out there to water them with.
That's
It's
the
such a
beauty
nice
of those
feeling.
setups.
I know. I mean, yes, there'll be so many mold problems and all this stuff, but it's and I think with mold, like, so what are you like? Okay, so you
Just
obviously do.
to answer
Oh
Buddy's
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
question,
put that up there. Yeah, go for it.
the hairs, yes, the hairs are for collecting the pollen. So when the pollen falls down on the stigma or the hair, it'll work its way down into the actual base, and that's where your seed will start developing, is from those bracts
Hmm.
that your pistils are coming out of, or your stigmas.
Yeah. And then Miko said he's got sour 60 cross right now.
Ooh, those sours are, they can be good. Are you a sour, a gas? What do you like?
Well, I've grown. Okay, so I've grown. For me personally, all I've ever grown is outdoors. For like in the last, since I've paid attention to what breeds and strains are and whatnot, I've only ever done it from the point of view of a grower growing what I can here. So I grew sour diesel at one point, and it wasn't good for this climate because it wasn't done until like mid-November. So I was able to harvest some decent buds off it, but I had to wait and actually didn't get any mold problems. But and I liked it. I liked the taste for sure, but I don't think it was a great fit for Ontario climate. That was my assessment of the situation because like November, you're getting into basically -5 sometimes. You know?
That's that's
So
why that's why I breed. You know,
yeah,
some of those flavors you gotta work with them to get them to work. You know.
yeah. I don't know if I yet have like a preferred taste, because like for me, it's always been about the climate. Like I'm basically just trying to get a whole variety of tastes. And I haven't got to a point where I'm like, oh, but I am interested in a few different strains that have grown in the past. Like I said, the Purple Kush was one I've done like multiple times. It was always really good. I did a sweet purple, which worked out really well. And that
So
was like something that people really wanted again. So I was like, okay, this must be good.
for the sweet purple, I'm curious. I've noticed there's different kinds of purple. There's purple bud, there's purple leaves, and then there's purple and green bud.
Mm. So I don't know enough about because I've really only grown like that, and I don't know
What
what quality, I'm like
what did
looking
it
for.
look like? What was purple about it? Was it the flowers, the
Actually, you know
leaves?
what? The flowers were purple on that one. Yeah, they were a little larfy, like, but that was probably my own growing errors, but it was also just
Not
the
always.
outdoors. Not always. Okay, well there you go. I don't remember. I wish I had like a grower's journal so I could like tell you, but
Okay. So those ones that like just go purple no matter what the temperature is, like where the bud is just dark red. Those aren't
Mhm.
bad personally. I got a lot of those. That's good to know for what I'll be sending you.
Awesome, man. I can't wait for this package. I'm very excited. Guys, if you got questions about breeding, drop them in the chat. I'll be a little bit more attentive. We were getting pretty lost down the rabbit hole there, talking about all the various ways of breeding. So I was not paying attention. But if you guys do post your questions, I will try my best. I'm just a one-man show here right now. Okay, Miko's back here. So Miko, he's got 20 autos outside, 4x4 inside. Babylon took my whole gear last year and got 6 months prison time.
Oh,
Put on probation. Thank God. Miko, is this you or are you talking about somebody else? Hold on, let's put this up.
it sounds like Miko needs to just keep his fingers clean for a bit.
Yeah, Miko, buddy. What? You got to pop up here, Miko. We want to know the story, man. You lost about 500 grow gear and 17 plants. What?
Yeah. we're so blessed up in here in Canada to be allowed 4 plants. Like,
Yeah, I know, man. Honestly, it's like I don't really worry day to day about anything I might do because it's just, you know what I miss about growing guerrilla styles. Maybe you can imagine this too. Is like it always felt back in before it was legal that a cop like a helicopter would go by and a squad team would drop out and like feel like we finally got him. It's the guy growing 4 plants in his backyard. But it never happened, obviously. But that was like an interesting thing. But I do feel for the people of the world who are actually in situations where they're, but it's crazy here in Canada because we really like sincerely, I don't have a care in the world what I'm doing.
even now, like even though we're legal and everything, I'll be out there like in my tie-dye shirt and I'll see a helicopter and I run to the pine trees to start tucking my water jugs underneath near the base of the tree,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh
It
man.
just feels right to do it, but there's really no. The thing I find is people are like, "Oh, I know where your gorilla grow is, and I'll find." I'm like, "Dude, I can barely find it. Like literally, I from the years of having to gorilla grow, I never like walk the same path, and it's like I don't know. There's some like condition I have where when I walk through the woods now, I like will not make a path. Like it's pretty hard to follow no path. It's
You
like,
get, yeah. Well, one
but
thing that got me, speaking of like not knowing it, is in one of my slideshows, I got this one plant. She's a lowrider autoflower cross, but she gets these beautiful red leaves near the end of fall. Not purple bud, but red leaves.
hmm.
And me and
Ooh,
my
that sounds
brother,
nice.
were walking out there looking at our patch to see like what we put it out there. We left it. We never checked on it till harvest time. Like just 100% natural, organic. Just testing our phenos to pick out the ones that really made it. But we walked out there and we were looking for them and we couldn't see anything. And I looked over at my brother. It's like, I guess this year was just a dud on this patch. And he's like, yeah. And I looked over, and between us was this just perfect, beautiful red leaf plant. And I'm just like, holy crap. Oh, this
That's so
works.
cool.
This is pretty good.
That's cool, man. Were you able to like isolate it or anything?
It's one of my lines. Yeah. It's
Oh, wow. I'd like to try that one, man.
so I got a few different autoflowers that I'm going to send you. It's kind of I got to make sure we stay within the 30-gram limit of what we're allowed to share.
Yeah, of
So
course.
between the flower and the seeds,
Well, there's gonna be multiple shipments of honey and seeds, man.
yeah. I wanted to get my genes out there to the public for so long. It's just at this point, it's just not on the table. But
That's fair, man. Well,
I'm
hey,
more
honestly,
more than
man.
willing to share with good buddies.
Well, hey, well, we can blow it up here, man. We'll get these seeds going. I'd love to try them out, man. And honestly, for me at this point in growing, it's like it's about fun, Like a lot of people get caught up in the sort of like, perfect conditions and like I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that. And honestly, part of it for me is like at this point, like, okay, I know I can grow cannabis. What can I do that I have no idea how to do? And you learn a little bit rather than just getting like absolutely perfect everything. I don't know if you feel that about the community a little bit, but I feel like a little bit of a importance. And I get trolled when I like I do something different, or weird, and it's like, guys, like we're all out here having fun.
Sometimes it's trolling, and a lot of times it's done not as trolling. Like some people are
A lot
doing
of
it
times not. No, no, no,
with
totally. And I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like people who are more like, like, what are you doing, man? The people who are like gives you like advice. I love that.
100%, 100%. But
It's really helpful.
sometimes they don't always know like what's going on in the background, But
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, so what would you say to somebody who's like getting started with Bream? What would be like the process to start? Like, if you could just like simplify it out. If you're,
step one,
yeah,
step one would be figure out what you want. Are you someone who wants purple? Are you someone who wants flavor? Are you somebody? Figure out what you want, and then go from there. So, to give an example, let's work with purple because you seem to like purple. A lot of people love purple.
hmm,
If you're getting into this and you're like, what I want is purple, you can go. I can do it quickly by taking 2 purple kinds and putting them together, or you can go. I'm going to take this purple one that looks pretty, and this one that tastes great, and I'm gonna put those together and then work that.
Hmm.
Ah, shit.
What?
One too many bowls. Um,
You okay, man?
yeah, I'm good.
Okay,
Um,
you got one comment up on the board here. So, okay, I subbed to Moonbeam. There's nothing like a walk through the garden looking for a unicorn.
exactly. So to start breeding, find out what you want, figure out what you want, go from there, and then you're hunting your unicorns. You're always looking for that one that just stands out for what you're looking for, isolating it, bringing it to your next generation. That's
Okay, how do you know when you've brought it to the next generation?
when the next round you pollinate.
No, of course, but I mean, like, how? So you're basically at that point, like, doing like a mathematical look at what is outputted. Like, okay, so you have this one quality that you were looking for, and then in the next generation, what kind of like numbers are you looking for? Like, if obviously like one of them has it, are you just then you're just taking that one? If there's five of them, do you take all
Right.
five?
So you're going to take the ones that best match what you're looking for. So again, using the purple example, if you're hunting for purple, the ones that are the most purple, those are the ones you're going to take out. You're going to breed those ones together, and then you're going to make your next generation. With that generation, you should have a higher percentage of purple because all the ones going into it were purple.
Hmm.
And every generation going forward, you're making it more and more purple because you're only taking the best. But when you talked about mathematics, there's one like tradecraft, we could say, is there's back crossing. So you do your BXing or back crossing. So
Explain that.
let's say you have your I'm gonna need a drink. Let's say you have your perfect one. Like it's exactly what you want. You want your seeds to come out like this every time. That's where you're gonna get into your back crossing.
Okay, so you're back crossing it to the original parent seed that you were looking to isolate the quality of?
So when you get your unicorn, you get that one that's just perfect. You'll take babies from that one,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll take whatever babies are closest to being perfect, to being that little piece of heaven for you. You'll take those babies, breed them back to the parent,
Mm-hmm.
and what a common like tradecraft would be is to back cross it 4 times, and about four after that 4 times of breeding it back to itself, like 4 generations going back to the original parent every generation, you'll end up
Mm-hmm.
with a pretty uniform population that should turn out almost exactly the same as that original unicorn that you picked out.
Okay, I like it. I'm just checking out the chat while we're talking.
So like that hash plant I got, that was a clone gifted to me from an MRA, like one of the original people in Canada gardening and like pushing the government and everything. Uh, that hash plant, to me, that was my piece of heaven, and I wanted to recreate that every time. So I would take my auto crosses and then I would bring them to that hash plant, take their babies, and that's that's a good hack for getting into this quickly instead of
Right. So
having.
you keep the mother going though. Like, is that in your indoor space or do you keep it?
You would have to keep a mum going, so you more than likely would have 2 tents or 2 separate areas. So when you are flowering them, you have those ones, and then one of your mother clone of your mother kept, or your mother kept behind, that wouldn't go into flowering, so that you could go back and forth.
Cool. Have you ever thought of doing like some like online maybe it's alive, but like really like explaining to people like actually like courses on this shit? Because I feel like there's a huge interest level amongst the internet on all this stuff, but it's like very inaccessible. And I
I'm
think you
I'm
have a good way of explaining it.
I'm always up to doing consulting work. If anybody ever needs help, they can hit me up on my channel, and we'll work out ways to contact. And I actually
Dope.
have a couple of years back, I wanted to get my master grower's diploma. When we were first getting legally, when we were first kind of switching over from the black market days to the legal markets. I was trying to hop on that train, get my master grower's diploma and everything, but I didn't have really any money. I've never been the richest person.
Mm.
And I went through Work BC actually to get funding and scholarship. And part of that was contacting a lot of these LPs, these licensed producers, to do interviews, kind of like we're doing right now, to actually get that funding. So I'm always open to working with people who want to get their things more dialed
Sweet,
in.
man. Awesome. Well, that would be awesome. So I did drop your channel page in the group chat there. So hopefully people can navigate that and get onto your page and talk to you about questions.
For Buddy's question there about breeding for resiliency or quality, for me it was I had to get resiliency down first before I could focus on quality. I had quality, like that hash plant. That's my number one. And I had to get my resiliency down to put back with my quality, if that makes sense.
So is most of the resiliency though you're looking for in the autoflower department? Because you're breeding the two, and the autoflower is obviously making it finish early. But are you looking for other kind of mold, kind of resistant qualities?
So one thing actually we kind of talked about in the background, one of the genetics I've worked with, which is not a very good genetic, I'm going to be honest. It's the THC percentages are pretty low. The terpene profiles, it's very piney. It's not the greatest flavor. But one of the genetics I've worked with is duck from Australia.
Okay.
And duck's foot, surprisingly, so it's kind of strange, but like we're kind of on polar opposites. Us in northern Canada and people in Australia, but because we're both close to the poles, we end up getting some of those colder temperatures. And surprisingly enough, that duck's foot came with a lot of resistance to the cold. My duck foot can get down to 0 and still be fine.
Really?
Yeah, she's tough. She's tough.
What do you think that is at the plant? Because I've had a couple strains where I'm like, oh, this can really go into the colder temps. But what do you think's going on there?
That has to do with your learning your palette, you know. So I was talking about this being kind of like an art form where you're making a painting. Is we have the building, we have our main colors like our yellow, our blue, and our red, our primary colors, like I was saying earlier.
Yeah.
What you're looking for is like landrace strains have been adapted to their climates, their areas. So for when you're saying how you're finding out like how is it going to do in these different areas, or how you're isolating those traits, is if you take like Australia, we're on opposite ends of the spectrum, but we are both close to the poles. So they do get, even though most people think Australia is like a desert and hot, there's some parts of Australia that get pretty fucking cold. Like you can get snow and everything in Australia, and this duck's foot kind of comes from those areas. So it naturally has built that resistance over millennia, like thousands of years.
Right. That's really cool, man. I gotta learn more about that. Okay, here's a question for you. Don't the clones lose quality the more you pull from the mom? I have to just grab a drink from the fridge, but you can hold down, Moonbeam?
Yeah, I got it. So you're asking if clones lose quality the more you pull the clone from the mother. So there's a few reasons for that. So your seed, the difference between a seed and a clone is your seed's always going to have your taproot. So seed's always going to be able to pull more than a clone. But there's also the aspect that your clones are exposed to UV. Like part of the way these plants work is they're out in the sunlight. They're being exposed to UV radiation constantly, and that UV radiation is breaking down their RNA, the ribonucleic acid, which is the building blocks of it's their DNA basically, like how they're built and operating. So when you're taking these clones, clone after clone after clone, and you start to see these genetic drifts, is what we call it, where it's not showing up quite the same as the original mum would have. Sometimes that can be due to UV radiation exposure breaking down the RNA. It can be disease infection over time. As much as we have perfect systems, there's spores, there's pathogens that are in the air, and these are going to infect your plant. So one example of this would be the hop latent virus or tobacco mosaic virus. And those are going to build up in your plant's DNA over time. And these are things that are going to cause that genetic drift. So yes, over time, your clone is going to kind of deteriorate, you'd say, but you can always bring it back with tissue culture by going back to that original stem cell. But that's a little harder for most people to do.
So
if that answers your question.
Well, if it doesn't, he can clarify. So explain to everybody what your setup is, because you have this property in BC. It's like you said 50 acres. That's crazy. I can't imagine having that much land right now, but super dope. And so what do you got outside? What do you got indoors? Like maybe just paint the picture of like how your operation looks.
So the way I work for my personal grows is for my indoor setup, I'm kind of old school. I want to switch over to LED. I just haven't picked one out yet, but I'm still running the high pressure sodium bulbs and the metal halides. I got two 600-watt digital ballasts that I run, and I'll use both the high pressure sodium and the metal halide, so that way I have the red spectrum plus more of that higher UV from the metal. And that's how I run my indoor. I do earth boxes. I really like earth boxes. They make things kind of set it, forget it. And my outdoor, I'm doing everything in soil, 100% organic. Nothing that has gone into those plants came from off of my property.
Wow. So everything is organic.
100%, yeah.
So no like dirt or soil in there.
It's all compost dirt that I've made over the years, yeah.
That's awesome, dude. Well, that's pretty much what I'm doing too. I buy Pro Mix just because it's like accessible to me because I don't have a huge property like you. But if I did, I probably would go that route. I have like tons of compost and casting, so I buy like a very small amount of Pro Mix at the beginning of the year, which I could probably make a better soil like just from whatever, but it's just the easiest thing to do.
It's not accessible for everybody, right? Well, I used to live in an apartment before I came out here. There's no way I was making my own compost piles when I was living in my apartment.
No, it's just not going to happen. So how many plants do you have outside? How many do you got going on in the outdoor space?
Oh,
shouldn't ask that question.
No, we're good. I stay within my limits, So I have 4 plants in total. I have 3 outdoor that I'm posting. I have a THCV plant. I have an older one me and my brother made together. That's kind of just a pollen chuck creation of a bunch of different cushes. It's so I have those 2, and then I got another one outdoor, which is just a Ruta Alice, just an autoflower. Just keeping just running my genetic again every year. And indoor right now, I've got 1 clone that's taken root that I'm keeping some of the genetics alive with.
Okay, we got a message here from Digging Dirt. I've never grown a cannabis plant, but I think the day is getting close. What would you say to this guy? He's starting out. Do you think you should do it?
I would tell this guy, always follow your local laws and legal limitations. And after that, I would say the same thing you would tell a fruit gardener. Every day that you haven't planted is a day that you're missing out on a harvest.
Deep. I like it.
The best time to plant a fruit tree or the best time to plant a cannabis tree is yesterday.
So he followed this up with trying to learn as much as I can, and it's lives like this that help. So there you go, buddy. You're inspiring people already.
The biggest thing I would say to you, what's his name there? It's kind of small. Digging Dirt. Digging Dirt. Fuck, that's a dope name. The best thing I would say to you is don't listen to all the hype. Do what you can and see what works for you.
Do what you can with what you have where you are.
Oh, that's even better. Yeah, 100%.
Somebody actually wrote that in my chat, and it ended up getting like the most likes of any comment I've ever got. I was like, it's really good advice to live by.
No,
Um,
that is. I dig
so
it.
really, really awesome to have you, man. Really nice to connect with you. We've only really talked online, so it's super dope to meet you and connect. I actually do travel out to BC sometimes, so I'll try to make my way up. But you're a little bit north, so it might be a challenge.
Now that you know where I live, uh, which it kind of blows my mind that you used to be over here.
Yeah, man.
Um, you're more than welcome to always hit me up. Like as I said, I got 55 acres. You can pull up an RV anytime, but you're welcome.
Dude, I will. You will see me at some point on your property. I feel it. I love that area of the world, man. It's so beautiful. I used to go down to, I don't know if you've been down to Bella Coola yet.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I used to tree plant out of Anaham Lake, which is in the interior, just kind of tucked up against the coastal mountains, as maybe like an hour from Bella Coola, and we'd go there every year. And it's literally where the Hulk is from. I
Is
don't know if
that?
you know that. Yeah,
No, I
like
didn't know
he's
that. That's
from
crazy.
Pellicula. Yeah, exactly. It's so beautiful. The water there is a mix of fresh and salt water, so it's like it laps over and you can see the different like colors. It's just I've seen really amazing stuff out there. And then the interior, it's just beautiful, kind of like it's like kind of like Western styles I find in the interior. Like it's like a lot of ranching, but
Yeah.
just beautiful outdoor space and nobody around. I imagine you're in a fairly low populated area. Am I correct?
Well, you've seen my neighboring town. My town's actually about a quarter of that. It's pretty small. And
Wow.
I'm a half hour in the mountains away from the nearest town too. So
Sounds like you're living the dream, man. How did you end up? I'm just curious. How did you end up on this property?
so my grandpa, part of the reason I'm so passionate about cannabis is my grandfather had a heart attack. He was dead for 7 minutes. Luckily they got him in evac, like helicopter evac from Dawson where you were at
Hmm.
to Edmonton, and they were able to bring him back to life. They told him he had 7 days left to live, and he said, "If I got 7 days left to live, I'm not going to spend it eating hospital food." He
Right.
he left the hospital. He got in contact with the nature path, and going with the medicine that she provided, and some of the medicine him and I grew together. He made it another, I think it was 10, 12 years.
Wow. That's
So
amazing.
after he had his heart attack there, and he learned about how, traditional medicine isn't always the best option. He really wanted to have a place where he could make this stuff for the family and keep us healthy.
Hmm.
So he got these 55 acres and started raising goats out here. And
Wow.
then sadly we had a disease similar to parvo come in on a batch of goats we got, and all 250 goats got wiped out. So
Oh man, that's devastating.
the farm's been a little empty since. My grandfather passed as well, and that's when I took on the property.
Wow. Well, it sounds like you're carrying on his
Yeah,
legacy, man. That's must feel pretty cool.
hundred
And
percent.
especially because it sounds like he fully endorsed what you're doing, which is probably not what most grandparents would do. So
It's kind of funny. My grandfather was very Christian. He was very Christian, but after he had his heart attack, he came back. He started believing in reincarnation. He had a very spiritual experience during those 7 minutes where he was dead, where his heart wasn't pumping, and he would smoke weed with me occasionally. He wasn't a huge fan of smoking it. He preferred more edibles and topicals. I've got like a few salves he left behind that are, ooh, they're good.
that's cool. Dude, sounds like the best grandpa ever.
He
Wish
was
my grandpa was that chill.
He worked me like a dog. He worked me
Hey,
like a dog.
he taught
But
he taught you how to be a man, is what you're trying to say.
yeah, he worked me like a dog,
Just a
but he
person. I
let me
shouldn't say
party
man,
too.
but well, it sounds like you're doing a good job living on his legacy, man. And glad we could have you tonight. If you guys got
It's been a
more
pleasure.
questions Yeah, man. Awesome to connect with you. I'm really, really happy with the community that has kind of like sprouted up that I've just found myself a part of. And like
It,
people like you, man, it's like it's cool to connect in Canada. You know, if you have a hobby like this and you just didn't have the internet, it's like it's impossible to meet people, you know, like but
and
just me and you connecting, like boom.
you had to keep it to yourself too for the longest time, right? Like we couldn't openly share this back in the day.
No, absolutely not. Which is why I never posted those swamp videos. I was like, I'm not gonna put that up there.
I
I just
posted
like
some shit I probably shouldn't have, but you know.
I probably would have been fine, but you know. Anyways, really nice to have you, man. If you guys got more questions for him, let us know. I was curious, man. You said you have worms in your farm.
Yep,
I was gonna maybe show you my worm farm if you're interested.
I'm down, man. Your worms look great. So you feed your worms the the what is it called? The malt from the brewing company nearby?
Yeah, so like for me, what I want when I actually produce casting, because most people that grow with castings, they're getting stuff that's store bought and or they're making it themselves. But what it normally ends up as is a very dense material that you can't really mix in at anything more than like 10% into your soil.
Yep.
And for me, like I'm trying to build soil. I want to get to the point where I'm like, you know, don't have to rely on store-bought stuff. So what I do, why I get the beer grains is I run out of food. Like my farm is too big right now. I have a huge feeding for them tonight that I gotta show you guys. It's like probably 40 pounds of food. It's not even enough for what I have. So the beer grains are great because basically this one brewery nearby, they let me come and take it. And the most breweries, I've checked it with
Cheers.
all the breweries local to me, they will not allow people to take the grains because they have arrangements with the pig farmers in the area where they basically like have to have all of the grains as part of the arrangement. So this one guy is super heady. He lets me take it. So that deals with my food problem. But what it does is like that stuff is so hard for the worms to break down that it ends up in the soil. So for me, it kind of replaces like the peat moss. So because it's just like this really like they eat everything except the shells of the actual like grains. So I plant my cannabis plants in 50% castings and 50% like something like a pro mix. And then that basically gives me everything I need through veg because there's so much worm castings. I mean, when you're using worm castings, you
It
can use
shows, man. Your
handfuls at
plants
a
are
time. Well, thanks,
beautiful.
man. Thank you. And yeah, man, like nothing in veg has been an issue, nothing at all. And then I have the farms in it, which is keeping the soil alive. You know, I don't know. It's like a lot of people don't know the difference between hot and cold compost, right?
Yep.
You got your hot compost, it heats up, it kills everything. You know, it's like you got the nutrient value in there for the immediate release or for like, you know, slow release for sure, but you're lacking the living soil. You can bring it back into a compost if you had living soil present, right? But it's not going to do much for your plant. The living soil that you get from worm castings, I've shown people that are in like, you know, these cannabis or gardening like online courses, and I had a student come by and took a sample of my castings and he was like, I've never seen so much life in one sample. Like he gave me the 400 times video on the microscope and it was
I
just like nematodes and like bacteria and microbes all going around like doing their thing. So when you
it
add
got
it to your garden, it's like it's a blast of nutrients that are going to continually break down your organic material, you know.
it's honestly it's got me really curious to try some of your bacteria because I, as you're saying, I do a lot of hot composting myself. I do have worms, but it's not my craft, you know. But
Well,
I
it's
do a lot
really
of
easy to do, man.
compost teas myself, and I think
Hmm.
adding your biologicals to my compost
Hmm.
teas could be
I'll
really
send you a bunch, man. Let's do it. That's fine. I'll try to see what I can send you as far as sizes and amounts, because obviously it'd be kind of an
especially
expensive thing to send.
especially if your biology is so. This is something I got in the back of my head, and I don't want to speak too much ahead of time, but your worms, your microbiome, it's eating a lot of cannabis leaves, and
Yes, it is.
our whole saying, fire in, fire out.
Mm,
It's got me wanting to do an experiment. So I'm looking at potentially getting my hemp license for next summer to
okay.
do CBG crops.
Okay.
And what I'm kind of thinking in the back of my head is like fire in, fire out. If I got a lot of cannabis material like biomass to use in my compost teas, like you got the microbiome that's already adapted to eating those leaves and that material. I don't know. There could be something there, you know.
I think
I'm
there
gonna
could be
test it
something
out.
there, man. I like it. I think it's dope. Well, what I've been doing, it's cool, man, is like it's almost what I call cannibalism. But I have the worm farm in the pot plant, and then I only feed them like my like the lollipoppings.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so like they're basically cannibalizing themselves and the weed plant's growing into the wormholes. So you could do something like that. You probably wouldn't even need to introduce any worms because you said yourself this was like a big farm. So you probably have red wigglers and worms that would just come into the wormholes if they were accessible by the outside world. And then there you go. You've got your living cannabis soil right in the
So
hemp
I'm a
yard.
I'm a breeder, right? And one thing that I think you've got that other people don't have, which is really like got my fancy, is your worms are eating wheat leaves. It's something they're used to. They're already in the process of being
Partying
adapted.
hard. They only eat beer and cannabis.
I think your biologics could, as you said, you've had people test your stuff and they're like, we've never seen these numbers before. These,
Well, I think they just hadn't checked out a really good case of worm castings, because most of the worm castings people are used to are not coming from a personal farm. They're coming from a place where they're a commercial grower where they do heat treat them or they sit out on a shelf for
so
5 or 6 months and dry out. And as soon as that happens, like if you looked at my same castings a year from now, they wouldn't have anything. That same student had looked at castings I gave him that were older and they didn't have it. But when you actually are just like literally bringing it out of the worm bin, I'm pretty sure anybody who's got a worm bin and is successful at it is going to have like off the chart, microbes and nematodes and all this stuff because that's just the ecosystem that you're creating. If you're not doing it right, then it wouldn't be working. Like it's not.
so
I don't know that the cannabis is doing much except that it's super cool and maybe there's something in it. Maybe there's something to it.
you've got a passion for it, and that passion's going to come through in your product. So you want to do it right. You're
Oh,
not
absolutely.
you're not settling for second best. You want to do it right. And I'm kind of curious. Have you ever looked at making like the certifications it would take to make a commercial product?
No, but the thing about it is that I've realized is like you have to heat treat it, right? Like to get rid of the seeds because like when you make your own castings, you're looking at having
You're
so
not.
many vegetables. Like I've killed probably 500, 600 cucumber and tomato starts this year.
So if you were to go through Health Canada to get certification, right? You're looking at testing of it to find out your NPK ratio, stuff like that. But and then to make sure it's a safe product. So you're talking about like heat treating it to sterilize it, which most people do, which is the problem with industrial
Mm-hmm.
worm castings, is they heat
Mm-hmm.
treat it so you don't have any of your biologicals.
No.
But because you're not working with any fecal matter,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you're not working with any meats, like any
Yeah.
poultry, dairy, like you're only working with grains and other plant materials. I feel like certification might not be so far out of reach.
No, that sounds cool, man. I hadn't even thought about it. The thing is just you're not making much of it. Like I make enough to cover everything I need for a whole season, but it's not like what's more valuable is the worms. The worms are a lot. Like even at a low rate right now, it's $50 per pound, and during the pandemic, it was $200 per pound. A pound is the size of a yogurt container. So right now, like for me, like people always want like, oh, it's just castings or whatever. And yeah, you could sell it for more, but it's just like I'm not commercial growers, man, down in the States, they do it outdoors and they have these huge piles of worms that stretch for like a kilometer.
Yeah.
And so they're making it cheap and it's basically makes it like that's what everybody's gonna buy. But either way, man, I think you could find something there. So if you guys want to see worms, maybe you
I'd
could
love
just
to
like
see your worm.
throw worms in the chat here just to make sure we don't lose anybody. Usually what happens is I show them worms and everybody splits.
Your worms are, dude, your worms are partying getting. So you talked about mushrooms. I know you gave your bees the candy there.
Yeah.
Have you gave your worms any mushrooms yet, or is it just the beer grains and the weed?
I hadn't even thought about giving the mushrooms. Now I am, though. I'm definitely going to do it.
I think your worms are quite exciting. They're partying all the time.
Yeah, you know what's cool about the bees? Last night I went out there and I tried to actually help them. They had this they have this little piece of shingle that goes on the top of the hive.
Yeah.
And I was looking at it at nighttime because I was just checking out the bees, and I could see I crushed a bunch of bees underneath it. So I took it off, and there was like 100 bees on it. I was like, "Oh, okay." So I brought them over to the entrance, and I put them there, and they all went in. But then immediately they turned around and started like shaking their abdomen at me, and it was like they all lined up like an army along the front, and I was watching it like happen. I was like, what are they doing? What's about to happen? I was like, oh yeah, they're about to like attack me 100%. So I got the hell out of there. I was like, oh, I'm like literally learning to communicate with these bees.
They're probably like, oh, you just killed a few of us. We got to be a little careful this time.
It was helping though. It's like, okay, I'm gonna switch to my mobile mode. But while I'm doing that, Moonbeam Charles, hobby breederist of cannabis seeds, walk people through, because I'm probably going to be a little busy here. Like, if you're starting out from scratch and you're somebody who this dude digging dirt, and you're like, you want to get going on even cannabis, but then you want to make that plunge like you did, like into breeding. Like, walk us through the whole thing, like beginning to end. Give it some time.
Okay, I will take my time, and you get your stuff set up. So let's say it's your first time, you're just getting started, you want to dive in like I did. Your first time, you're gonna either want to go feminized or non-feminized. So you're gonna want to figure out if you want to do silver sulfate, colloidal silver, or if you're just gonna be picking out a male. But you're gonna want to do your normal grow. Just grow the weed like you normally would. When you're coming to the end and you're seeing the ones that are looking the best, that's when you're going to pick those ones out, maybe re-veg them, clone them, do whatever you can to keep those genetics alive. Next round, when you go through, take a branch or take a male, whatever you chose to keep from your last generation. You're going to take that branch or that male, collect the pollen. What I like to do, a little tip of the trade, is, try not to let that pollen just go everywhere, because that'll ruin your whole crop. If you don't have much space to work with, you only want enough beans to make it to your next round or to save for a rainy day. I like to take a bag, put it over that male, put it over that branch that has the pollen sacs, tie it off, make sure it's not going to spread everywhere. But after you get that male growing out and the pollen sacs are starting to open up, you're going to want to take that pollen and put it specifically on the pistils, the hairs that'll be coming out of the pistils, the hairs, the stigmas that'll be coming out of the bracts, which will be just on each internode, which will be like each branch of the plant. You're going to take your pollen, put it on those. So you could take a paintbrush, you could just sprinkle it on top of it, do whatever you need to do. After that pollen has set in those hairs, those bracts, the stigma, it's going to, they're going to brown off or red off. They're going to kind of die off. They'll curl off. And that's partially how you know you got an actual pollination. From that point on, you're going to give it minimum 40 days from pollination until you harvest to get those seeds to actually ripen to full maturity. Another thing is you're not going to want to take those beans out. Like, even if you see the beans where they're starting to pop out of the husk of the bract, so you can actually see them poking out of the bud, you're not going to want to take those seeds out. You're going to want to cut that branch off or cut the plant down, dry it out, and then collect the bean. The reason you want to dry it out before you collect your beans is right where that bean is connected to the bract on the inside. There's a little here. I might be able to show you guys. We'll see how good a quality we could do here. But right at the very base of the bean, there's a little circle, and that little circle needs to dry off for it to seal properly and for it to keep bacteria and viruses out of it. So if you're storing beans for a long time, the reason why you wait till it's completely dry is that'll seal that off and make it so you're not going to have anything contaminated while you're storing it. After you've collected your beans, you're going to want to store them in a cool, dark place away from sunlight. I like to make sure they're as dry as possible before I store them. I'll sometimes use a little bit of rice or something to help make sure they're dry, maybe some silica packs. And then as long as they're dry in a cool, dark place, you're looking at easily probably 4 to 5 years of good germination rates. After that point, there's some tricks you can do to help crack them, like rolling up some sandpaper and shaking them. Because I've got some stuff all the way from 2009. So you roll up a piece of sandpaper, shake it around in there, and that'll help break off that outer husk and help encourage it to be able to break through when it's germinating. But then,
can you hear me right now?
Yeah, I could hear you.
Okay, cool, man. Keep going, finish it off. Sorry, my bad.
And yeah, after storing your beans, to become a breeder and to separate yourself from a pollen chucker, just keep working those lines. Keep making it better and better and better. So anybody can make seeds, but it takes a breeder to make a seed that you know what you're going to get when you pop it.
Thank you for that summary, buddy. I'm down in the wormhole now,
No.
But I will get back to breeding. We're not done with you, buddy. But I just wanted to show you the worm farm. Okay.
Okay.
So
let's check it out, man.
So here we go. I'll try to give you the full tour of the zone here. So basically, these are 4 of the bins I have that are kind of like my main, just sort of like daily type drops. I drop like food into these once a week, but it's like all of my fresh food type stuff.
Yeah.
They're really easy to kind of work with. So they have these like they're flow through bins. So basically these things come off the bottom.
Yeah.
And all the stuff flows out, and they get like really compressed down here, so the worms don't chill down here, and they live like all up here. So they're all pretty stacked. I wanted to show you guys kind of how I actually separate them. Like somebody was asking me, like, how do you separate the worms from the castings? So
yeah,
I'm gonna start a bin today. So I'm gonna use this bin right here to be the bin. So what I do is I pile up these castings like this. Like this was all over here, and essentially like they just dive down. So I've kept the light on, and you just kind of like constantly brush the stuff off. And eventually you're left with like a really big kind of pool of worms down at the bottom. So you can see like,
holy crap, that's a lot of them. Wow.
yeah, and this is basically over here completely worm free. So like that's how you do it. If you want to count worms out to be like, oh, I'm going to sell them.
You're basically dry sifting your worms.
Yeah. So that's it. So this is probably about 200. So to start this bin, I want like 100. So I'm going to take out, I kind of like roughly count them. I have a scale too, and I've figured out the average of like what 100 is. But that right there is probably 10. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70,
so you
80,
used
90. So basically there's 100. So that's what I'm going to start this bin with. It's like 100 adult worms. There's a bunch of babies in here. You can actually see the babies right on. You see those like little white squiggles there?
Yeah. You can see them. Yeah.
Yeah, that's them. Sorry, I was going to try to zoom in. So there's like thousands of those, but these are the ones that are going to make other babies. So like if you find one that has like the patellum, which is the little ring around their neck. So this one's just starting to get it. But you know the thing that's like the wedding band? People call it the wedding band on a worm. That's called the clitellum. It's literally got the word clit in it. But it's called a clitellum, and that's like where the cocoons come out of. And every cocoon makes 3 to 4 worms per month. So they can all lay about a cocoon a month, and everyone makes about 3 or 4. So in this bin, for instance, I'm going to start today. I'm going to put like the day on it and whatnot, and then I'll know it started with 100. So within a month, I should have, if everything's going well, they should be laying those cocoons, and then I just start like doing the math from there. And basically, this whole bin can take about 3,000 to 4,000 worms, which is like, honestly, this one bin could probably process most people's food scraps on their own.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and
you talked about the soil compacting.
Yeah.
And you use different recipes to help kind of combat that. What's some like key things that you would say help combat that compaction?
Well, here you go. Glad you asked, buddy. So these are beer castings, beer grains, spent beer grains. So this is like fresh from the brewery yesterday. The beer was made yesterday, and it smells like beer. Like, it doesn't smell like beer, but it smells like a brewery.
Yeah.
And you see how it's like you see it's like grains.
Oh, it looks
like
good.
Like, so they love this stuff because it's like really high in sugar, and it's kind of like wet when you squish it, but this stuff never breaks down. So when you're adding this in, for me, this is like literally what makes the castings really light and fluffy, because otherwise it wouldn't be able to grow at like 50%. 50% castings.
I never thought about the malt aspect. So like you're getting a lot of the malt, like the sugar from those beer grains?
Yeah, they love it. So they go absolutely crazy for
So
the malt.
you're very similar to like the way people add molasses to their garden. You're getting those natural sugars through the malt. That's awesome.
Yeah, so we do that. I mean, I'm sure the sugars are like long gone by the time this hits the garden, but so for feeding this bit, I basically just make a trough.
There's
I'll just
some residuals.
What's that? Oh yeah, for sure there are. But honestly, the soil is so active. Like, there's just so many benefits from it, anyways. But anyway, so I'll throw in a few scoops per bin, like this, and I just kind of spread it out. They want a lot of surface area, so you kind of do that. And you just bring it over like that. So that's kind of that. Now, if I was going to set up, so this is just like feeding my worms. I could do just the beer grains. I have like a bunch of food scraps here as well. So I got like a ton of just like corn. I got a piece of corn here. I'm going to feed that to them. Super cool when you feed them corn because they absolutely love it. And they kind of get into the middle of it and you crack it open and they're like loving the indoors and inside of it.
Is that one of your tricks for keeping it kind of loose and less compact?
Yes.
Is corn husks?
Yeah, the corn. Okay. Corn husks are really quite like hard for them to break down. So they get through the like 90% of it. Here's a whole bunch of worms.
Oh wow, that's beautiful, man. I've tried doing the worm bins and I did not get results like that. Wow, that's beautiful.
There's so many babies in here. I don't know if you guys can see the white little squiggles.
Yeah, and the fungus too. Oh wow.
Oh, this is a piece of toilet paper. My kids ripped apart a piece of toilet or like a full toilet paper roll, and I just threw it in here.
And
this is a lime. So they say not to feed them limes, but look at the babies on this thing. They love it. The reason why you don't feed them lime is because it lowers the pH of the bin to the point that you'll introduce other like mites that will actually compete with the worms. So that's actually why you don't put lemons and stuff in, but they will eat it. They love it. Anyway, so this bin's pretty good. So for this one, another thing I feed, oh, look at this pocket I just found. Ooh, buddy. Some worm porn right here.
Am I tripping or am I seeing kind of like mycelium throughout there?
No, you're not seeing mycelium. There's no mushrooms in here. Everything like that would just get like destroyed.
No, okay.
This is just worms, but yeah, that's the glory shot right there, buddy. Anyway, so these guys are all adults now. So this bin's honestly almost full, like of the potential of the babies that are in here. Like there's not going to be. So then at that point, they actually stop making babies. They actually like know what is available for space, and they just stop making them. So another thing I feed these guys, which is I'm trying to show you guys right here. So this is like chicken feed, and what it has in it, oyster shell flour. And
Yeah.
that's what they need to feed is oyster. They need some kind of grit. They have the same kind of setup as chickens, where they need like a mechanical means in their
To help
stomachs.
to help
Yeah.
digest for them.
So
Okay.
so one of the tricks of worm farming is to grab like a powdered or like a like granulated version of food, and it has the oyster shell flour in it because chickens need the same thing essentially. So
I,
I'll use
I
that kind of as like as a backup. I have this kind of bag. Oh, I don't have any food. Boom, throw that in, and then that gives you your calcium for your weed plants.
100%. I actually I have chickens myself. I use oyster shells all the time.
Boom. So you've already got the food down, and that's really the big thing is like having some backup food because people get started on this stuff, and then they just run out of food for their population, and they all die. So it's really good to have the backups.
That's a good way. That's a good way. That's a really good way to get your calcium into your soil too. If they're
Exactly.
helping.
So I either use this or I buy powdered calcium, like a flour version of it.
A meal.
Yeah, exactly. Like just something like it's like basically powdered. So then for this, I'm gonna actually get this one started because I'm gonna start my worm business up again. I used to sell worms a lot more, but I haven't been doing it. So the way that people do it is they like literally start with 100 worms in a bin like this, and then you just need to have your carbon. So they need 50% carbon. So this is just all shredded paper. I just shredded all of this paper, and
Gotcha.
like basically it's done. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can still hear you. So that's your carbon source, you're saying?
Yeah, and you can overdo the carbon, but you really want to start with some castings. You guys see I left the castings down there because all that microbial life is actually going to work with the food. Like the worms actually eat what the microbes break down. So they'll say like, if you start a worm farm and you just have the worms and you don't have the castings, it actually takes a little bit longer.
Okay, so would you get that
ecosystem?
Would you get that kind of moist?
Yes, so I'm going to make this super moist right now, and it will soak up so much water that I don't really have to worry. In fact, I can use this leachate. You were asking me about leachate the other day.
Yeah.
So this is like what comes out the bottom of these bins. So I'll like soak it in this stuff because then it's like something that they're kind of familiar with.
To like inoculate the whole system, eh?
Yes, exactly. So whatever kind of like life might be there, and it's just familiar to them. It's like, oh yeah, this is like home. And you always want to keep them moist. The big thing that people like want to do with these worm bins is have like a little spigot to collect the leachate. And I get it, but honestly, the easiest thing you could possibly do is just buy one of these concrete mixing bins. They're only like $10 at Home Depot, and this is enough for you to get a worm farm going where you're going to process almost all of your home food. So like, there's no need to make these complicated systems. All you got to do is like manage the humidity within the bin.
Yeah.
So if
Okay.
you keep it moist and like this is good now for a week, and then I just cut a piece of plastic that fits perfectly on here, and then they won't go above this because it always stays dry.
Kind of like you would a clone dome, just keep the humidity up,
Yes,
eh?
exactly. So I'm just making a basically humidome for these guys, and then they just stay in there. And if you kept this off, they dry out and die. So you do need to have something on top, but you don't want to have like a lid because the lid is like an inviting environment for them to come up on, and then your whole lid, like your whole rim, just gets filled with worms, and they just fall out and they try to escape. This they can't get past the thing. So literally, it's like a garbage bag would do it, and this bin's $10, and you're laughing. And then you can stack these vertically, right? Like you can have a shelving unit to stack them.
Okay.
So like I'll show you over here. I have a this is my like big one that you could literally fit a human body in there. But I made this
Not suggesting anything, chat. No.
I made this basically this shelving unit for worm bins. So every one of these holes fits one. So I'm gonna move the one I just set up.
Oh, nice.
Slot, and then I'm gonna build this back out. I just haven't really done a lot of selling of worms recently, but that's all like tools and stuff right now.
Nice.
Yeah, the other thing I was going to show you guys. Sorry if there's any questions in the chat. I haven't even checked, and Moonbeam's not like able to, unfortunately.
I'm sorry. If there is a next time, I definitely got to get that figured out.
Some comments. I saw some comments about my electrical box. My basement is like a disaster zone, guys, but it's a wormhole, so what can you expect? Okay, so are these red wigglers? Yes, these are 100% red wigglers. Red wigglers are some of the only worms that can survive in 100% compost. European night crawlers are also another kind of worm that you can use. But if you're just finding worms in your yard, a lot of times they live in actual soil. They're not actually composting worms. They eat microbes in the soil and like bigger things. So they work together. But like red wigglers are one of like 3,000 or 4,000 types of worms, and they're one of the only ones that can live at 100% compost. What else we got in here? Wow, sexy worms. Yeah, you better believe it. You made
They
a
are,
good point,
man.
Charles.
It's quite the handful.
I want to say consider some of the seeds somewhat in between the time frame, both thinking as birds might have done in the future and also considering mistakes that could have happened time for drawing. Okay. What else we got? I live in prohibition land. It sucks. I'm sorry to hear that. Digging dirt. Just go for it, bud. You'll be fine.
Yeah, I'm not saying break your laws ever, you know.
Okay, yeah,
But,
fair enough.
but you know, I definitely didn't do everything I was supposed to. That's all I'm going to say.
That's all good, man. Okay, so next thing I'm going to show you guys. So people were asking me last time, how do you like get the castings out of my bin? So usually I do kind of what I did over there. You know, I piled the worms up, and then that's an easy way to do it. You could just basically take all your castings and make a big mountain, and then you just like every day you kind of peel them away. But an easier way to do it is this migration way. So what I'm doing with this bin is like, this is an 8x3 bin. So like it's huge. Like I could literally lie down in it and it would fit me pretty well. So I fill this whole thing up. It's going. And then now the castings are like done. So if you look at them, I know the lighting's not great, but like this stuff is so dense now. And this is stuff I didn't really do a lot of beer stuff. So you can see the difference, but
Yeah,
a
okay.
year really before I'm going to be growing it, but it holds its form. That's not what you want, like for like what I was talking about, but the beer grains. But anyway, so this stuff is done and they'll live in this for a while, but you really want to get them out of it at this point because they can't find carbon in here. And this shit gets so gummed up down at the bottom, it becomes like a brick. Like if I go down to the bottom, this is like down at the bottom. It's like bricks of it. So now I got to get this stuff out. So what I do is
Does it start to get kind of anaerobic?
it doesn't get anaerobic if you keep it dry. And
Okay.
I keep it pretty dry. You're managing the humidity. But yes, if you were like piling, if it was really moist and you weren't managing it, it would get anaerobic and it would smell. So like my castings smell like a forest floor. Like it doesn't, there's nothing. It smells like complete nothingness.
Good to know.
And if you're managing a worm farm properly, like nothing should ever smell. The food that they eat is fresh. I freeze the food from like the moment I make it to the moment it goes to the worms. And when you freeze it and thaw it, you break the cells down of the like wall of the vegetables, and it makes it softer for them to eat. So like basically they're eating fresh, frozen, like thawed food. So it's like perfect. So there's no smell. They eat it within a week, and they don't want. And basically the microbes and bacteria on the food are like eating it. And as they're eating it, the worms are eating what they've left behind. So basically, as things are rotting, like not rotting, but breaking down, is being consumed. So there's no smell.
Nice.
So what you do at this point is you like basically scoop all the castings over to the one side of the bin, and I'll be feeding this area for the next little while. And then I'm going to now put new bedding on this side. And I leave a little bit of the castings down at the bottom here. And then I just put that paper on top. So I'll do that now.
So you're kind of you're rotating sections. Like you'll go from this section to that section.
Yeah, exactly. Here, let me see if I can get the camera down here. I'll show you me adding this stuff. So I have a huge bag of paper. Like basically I just use a shredder, and I have tons of like, work paper and stuff like that. So now I'll just fill this side with all of these shreddings. And they'll start to come over here even though there's no food. And I keep on emptying that other side out. And so within a couple weeks, like I will have emptied this whole bin into tote bins and essentially like got all of the worm castings out and replaced it with new beddings. And right now this bin is actually kind of overly wet. So all I got to do is put that on top, and this paper is going to dry out the whole bin. And they'll just kind of find their way over there. I was telling you about corn before. Check out this piece of corn. This is from like a week ago, and they've just kind of like gotten into it.
Have you ever planted in a corn cob?
In a corn cob?
Yeah.
No, I have not.
It actually works quite good for like germinating your seeds and stuff.
Oh, so that's cool, man. I'll try that out. So the next step here is
I could see that working great in your medium.
Well, especially like using, yeah, because the corn stuff never really breaks down. So it's really good because it's like a present organic material that's going to persist.
Yeah,
I think that's
cellular.
helpful. So then this is the next stage. So now I've scooped everything from this side. I'm just starting to fill these bins up, and these are like, 12, or I don't know how tall those are, these standard sort of Rubbermaid bins. So I fill these up, and then these have tons of worms in them, but I make these traps. These are just milk containers, and I feed these. So I have to feed this tonight.
Kind of like
And then
your wormholes that you got out in your fabric
pre-
pots.
precisely. But then these will be my traps, and then you just pull them and you put those back in the bin. So every week I feed this, the same time I feed this, I pull this one first, put it in there. And within
Oh,
about
neat,
2 to
neat.
3 weeks, these will be completely empty with the exception of maybe like a few babies.
That's a nifty little trick there for collection.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of how you like manage to turn things over. And like honestly, these bins down here are everything I need for nutrients, essentially. Need to do.
It's starting to get a little sketchy here. I don't know if we're still live on YouTube or if it's going to be laggy on both sides or not. Can you hear me there, Wormhole? Oh, there we go.
I can hear you.
We're coming through clear now. We're clear now.
Anyway, so yeah, like the worm castings for me are not only about the hobby, it's like literally solves the problem for veg.
It's very self-sufficient, and like it shows with your plants, because like watching your videos, there's no burning of the leaves whatsoever. They're perfect dark green. Like you're clearly giving them what they need. So it's showing it's good stuff.
Yeah, no, so I'm really happy with it, and I'm glad I could show you a little bit about the plants. Anyways, we've already hit the 2-hour mark, man. The time just flew. We can keep chatting though. I was going to show you guys the outdoor like grow too, if you're interested.
Sure. Is it not too dark where you're at?
It is, but I was just going to like flash a little light real quick.
Oh, I'm down. So I don't know what is better for lighting on my end of things, but I gotta kind of turn my light off or change it for seeing your stuff really clear. But
I see. I'm just seeing if there's anything else going on here. The Goblin Dude. Heyo. What's up, buddy? Goblin Dude.
I can't believe how big your shelf system is. It's a lot. There's a lot more going on than I was expecting.
So I did that because I used to sell them pretty like frequently, like through the pandemic, especially. I was trying to like really make a move on it, and I made that system and it worked out great. So you just pull the shelves out to feed them, and it's a lot of work though. I'll tell you what, like it's a commitment of like an hour a week, basically.
Have you ever thought about doing? So I think I remember you talking about one of your buyers was a zoo or a sanctuary.
Yeah, bird sanctuary. Yeah.
Have you ever thought about doing consulting work for people on how to maybe set up these setups themselves?
Yes, but it's like I don't know how much there's to be made at it. Honestly, if I was being totally honest with you, I just don't know. I'm not sure. I find like the selling of the worms is the most satisfying part of it.
You're right. One thing that I think is kind of like is really heartwarming, and it's a neat little thing about you as a person is you definitely care about your worms, because when you're talking about them, you almost seem a little sad when you're selling off your worms. Like they're going to be eaten, but
I agree. Can you hear me through this mic, or is it through my headset?
I hear you better through the main big mic there.
Okay, good. I'm glad I got back to it. Yeah, no, I love the worms. I've had people try to buy worms off me that are fishermen, and I said no.
I could totally, yeah.
With the bird sanctuary, I was kind of like, well, the robins like are also animals, like I don't know. It seemed more reasonable, and they were willing to pay me good money too. They paid me like $200 a pound. So
it's a lot more humane than someone shoving a hook through them,
But to be frank, if you were somebody who wants to fish, they're like apparently the best fishing worms because they're actually like the size that you would want to put on a lure. Like they're not like giant worms that you have to cut up. So they're more convincing apparently to a fish.
With trout, the red wigglers do work really good.
Oh, you've used them before?
I am a fisherman myself.
No, I'm not judging you. I just personally felt bad like murdering them. Do you know what I mean? It was like I do feel this sense of like connection with them. And I don't, it's not that I would fish too. I don't have no problem with that, but I'm just more just like taking the worms I grew and then be like, ah.
My one of the best baits I ever used. My uncle, he had a little container of worms that he forgot about. He just left it out in his shop, and it'd been there for like years. And I brought it with me fishing, not knowing how old it was. And when I cracked it open, it was one of the worst smelling things ever. But I poured that into the lake we're fishing, and next thing I know, all the trout just start jumping all around us, just going mad. It's pretty good stuff.
Absolutely. So we got a comment in the chat, and this is from the Goblin Dude, who was previously, I believe, Ramul. He said, "Did you have the seed talk, and what are the plans on growing seeds in the future?" Well, we did have the seed talk, but we're not done with the seed talk. We're going to keep talking about seeds for at least a little bit here. You're good to chill for a bit, Moonbeam?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. You got me
Okay,
till whenever you need me.
we're
I'm
just
just gonna,
chill
as
till
long as I can smoke off to the side, you know,
you
hopefully
can
YouTube
smoke
doesn't get
on
too mad.
camera, man. That's all good, man. Don't worry. We're not going full Cheech and Chong mode here, so we're good. um Anyways, the deal with the seeds is that I am going to get into it, and Moonbeam Charles here is going to send me some of his own home bred seeds that he's sending me in the mail, and I'm going to send him some honey, and we're going to get a little honey seed racket going on.
What's going on?
And yeah, it's gonna be dope. And I plan to grow those out, but I also am gonna try to do my own. So I was actually thinking, like, what are your thoughts on? Because I love Gorilla Glue. I don't know if you feel the same way, but I love growing it here. It's a really good strain.
I like Gorilla Glue. It's got good yield, good nug structure. It fucking knocks you on your ass. Personally, I'm more of a Kush guy than I am that kind of gluey, tapey flavor. But I do like it occasionally. It's definitely in some of my lines too.
I've just
For-
identified that I think it grows well here. So I was thinking maybe something like that would be a starting point for me. What do you think about that? Or
I
do I
think
go with this Kush variety that you're talking about?
always work with what you got, and if that's what's working for you, work with it. I think that's a perfect place to start. Is you already got your plants going. You already know how to use the silver sulfate or the colloidal silver. You got your basics. Now you just need to pick out which which ones you like the best out of what you got, and kind of work it from there.
So grow how many seeds do you think to start?
Okay, so that's one of the toughest parts, right? Because as a breeder, you always want the biggest population you can. You like if you could do 1,000, you would do 1,000, but you got to stay within your limits. You can't just have like 300 Spartans wild in the bush.
That's not gonna happen.
But
Let's say an ideal circumstance, aside from laws, what would you do if you had like a reasonable home situation?
I would just
what would you think would be a good starting point?
Whatever you can. So if you can do 4 plants, do 4 plants, and pick from those 4 what you can. Just because you can't do 1,000 doesn't mean you can't work with 4. It just might take you longer to get to where you're wanting to go.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. So I should start with those, and I can try those in my. I could take the ones from I had from last year, though, where I'm doing right now, and I can have those as clones. So I could do something with the bubble gum and the thin mint. Would you think those two could have some interesting things going on?
If that's what you're working with, try it out. Okay, so here's one thing that's kind of interesting. Your first round is going to be your F1 generation, which is your first cross of the two. What you said, Gorilla Glue and Thin Mints?
Sure, let's say that. That's what I have right now, but they're both females, so I'd have to get the pollen, and I could cross it with the other one. Is what you're saying?
We'll feminize it, and then we'll cross them.
Yeah.
But you take your Thin Mints, your Gorilla Glue, and you cross those. You get your F1 generation, those first round of seeds, and they're going to be kind of stable-ish. Like they're all going to be kind of similar. You don't know what you're going to get, but they're going to kind of fall in line with each other. When you take those plants, that generation, your F1, and you breed them into each other, and you make an F2 generation, you're going to get a lot more gene expression. So like that's where you're really going to see what kind of unicorns you can pull from that cross.
Okay. So
That's
that's kind of like an interesting generation is the second one, is what you're saying.
the second one. As a pheno hunter is always your funnest generation because the non-recessive traits kind of come out. Those, what we are talking earlier about the non-recessive traits, those
Right. They
start
would
to
have to come
show
out in the second
themselves.
round.
Yeah. And
Okay.
that's so, like, as I was telling you, I got plants that flower at 16 hours. You can only get those on your F1 and F2 generation. You get more of them on your F2s, but you get less on your F1.
Okay. Cool.
So,
Okay, so I have some time though. So how long does the process take? So you obviously have to go through a full season. So in a year, you can get through what, three generations, 4 generations? Is that pushing it?
so if you're mastering your craft, if you got it dialed in, you can do 6 times a year.
Wow.
But for the typical person, let's say you're only doing outdoors, you're only going to get that one shot per year.
Welcome, Mark from New York. Big fan of the channel. Thanks for popping in, Mark, and everybody else. William Patrick Furry, I believe he's maybe from the UK, if I'm not mistaken. I'm sorry if I'm wrong, but we've actually had some regulars pop back tonight. I'm really happy people are. Sorry to interrupt you there, Moonbeam.
No worries, man. You got to support the
See
community.
crowd, man. They're so nice to come out again. And guys, again, check out his channel, MoonbeamCharles. He's just getting started, but he's got a lot of knowledge, and really nice of him to come out tonight and chill with us. He's up in northern BC on a 50-acre property, living the dream in many respects, at least by my standards. And he's breeding his own auto crosses with some photos, if I'm not mistaken, and you've kind of got to a point where you figured it out. I think that's really cool, man. You figured out it in a really tough environment. Like, a lot of people might not try to figure it out. Do you know other people like locally who are as involved in like, figuring things out for there?
So what was it? Back when I first started, I remember hearing about there being one bust of some like outdoor, some gorilla grow stuff that was in a river system near me. But other than that, I don't know a single person. So I don't even know who that was who had those plants out there. But other than that one person, I don't know anybody that does outdoor where I'm at, because it took years to be able to harvest and not get something harvested at week 5, week 6.
That's dope, man. So I think I'm confused here. Ramul's here now. You and the Goblin Dude have the same picture on your thing, so it's a little confusing. But Ramul's in the chat now. That's awesome. Super dope. So what are some of your goals moving forward for breeding?
So now that me personally, now that I've isolated those photosensitive traits, it's narrowing down the quality. It's getting that taste and flavor, bag appeal. I've got bag appeal pretty much down. I'm not worried. I've actually had Rob from CLTV and Pigeons and them. They showcased some of my outdoor flowers on their channel once, and they, quoting them, they said it was really pretty weed. So I definitely got bag appeal down. Now it's more just hunting those flavors I like and getting different versions of that flavor.
Cool.
But I'm really curious for you, like you're taking that thin mints and your Gorilla Glue. I'm really curious where your plans are to take that, because you're wanting something that fits your area.
You know, the thing is that about the Thin Mint is I'm kind of like not sold that it's going to be great for this, because it has more of a sativa sort of leaning look to it. And I'm questioning what the flower time will be and how that lines up with this environment. I'm kind of more confident in the bubblegum kush because I've grown kushes, but also I did the one in the basement right now, which is almost done. And it was a really short flower. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to be into the end of September for the bubblegum kush, which is pretty early for here, like to be like done in September, really. So I'm more thinking I'll hold on to that, but I'm curious. I don't know what the Thin Mint will end up like.
So okay, do you like the Thin Mint? Is it like bud that you enjoy?
I do, but I've only really had it from like a indoor growing context. I have no idea what's going to do in the outdoor context, you know?
Just throwing this out as an idea. If so I'm going to send you some beans. Some of my beans are autoflower. Some of them are more sensitive, like earlier finishers. If you cross your thin mints with your Gorilla Glue, you can run easily 1 or 2 indoor crops to test it out to see how it's going to work for you before your next outdoor season.
Okay.
You could also take some of those, maybe potentially cross it with mine, so that you get
Some of the
bit of,
auto in there.
yeah. But I don't just because your thin mints doesn't flower properly now. By breeding it doesn't mean you can get a version of it that does flower in time. If that makes
Right.
sense.
Yeah, because one of the phenotypes might not line
By
up with that.
in your F2 generation, you can get some crazy outliers where it'll be like your thin, like looks exactly like your thin mints, but flowers exactly like your Gorilla Glue. Like you get some crazy unicorns in your F2 generations.
I see. Oh yeah, okay. William Patrick Fury is actually near Philadelphia. My apologies. I don't know. I've gotten confused. There's been a lot of people from the UK. I don't know. I don't know what it is about the UK, but man, those guys
I love the UK gardeners because they're kind of similar to us. They got those foggy days. They got the high humidity.
Well, it's also like still quite illegal there for most of the UK, and I think they find it interesting that I think they like that it's legal here, and they can kind of see what we're up to. But they're all into gorilla growing. Like there's a lot of channels from the UK about gorilla growing, as I've found.
They still got
Notice
that fire. They still got that fire in them. You know.
Absolutely. I'm jealous. I'm jealous.
A
Do
little
you
bit,
want me
yeah.
to show you this outdoor grow, man? You want me to take you out there?
Let's check it out. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna need to switch up the tech here, so you're gonna have to tell us more about your seeds, buddy.
I'll talk more about seeds. I just want a quick little hit.
Dude, take your hit. This is the hit time. Time for a smoke break, folks. I'm just gonna switch up my mic here. So
I need my bowl of cereal, and I need to make sure I drink all my milk. But yeah. Whew. As we were talking with the UK gardeners, there's a guy I used to watch. His name was UK Field Ninja. He's a great guy. He's got a great personality. I'll just keep talking while you're getting things set up. But he would breed unknown, like he wasn't trying to breed to make like the best weed or anything, but he was just doing almost like a natural selection process where he was doing his gorilla grows and then just self-pollinating them to make sure he had some seeds for the next year. And I loved his stuff because like even though he wasn't a breeder, he was breeding his stuff for his climate just by doing it every year over and over again. A lot of those UK guys, they got that fire in them because it is illegal. They have to push the limits. They have to figure out the tricks of getting things done.
Well, that's how you figure things out, I think. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, awesome. We're mobile. That's dope. Yeah, man, honestly, the UK supporters have been nuts. They're like a small sliver of like the total amount of people that I'm like seeing daily on my channel, but like they are the most vocal about just like loving cannabis and growing cannabis, and especially the swamp stuff, because I think they do a lot of gorilla glow in there. Seen some cool channels, people just really going for it.
There's a roundabout guy who would do stuff just in like ditches and stuff off the highway. Oh, they do some unique stuff over there for their gorilla grows. I could totally see them being into your swamp. Nope, we're a little laggy. I'm hoping it's not too laggy for everybody on live, but hoping we're good. Yo, I can hear you. Can't see you, but I hear you.
You can hear me?
I could, yep. Not so much now.
Working.
There we go.
Okay. It might be.
Cut out. We're just a little too far past your Wi-Fi there. Which, what I'm really curious about is, I don't know if chat, I don't know if you can hear me now. I don't know if chat can hear me or not, because I'm running this through him through the stream. So I'm not too sure if when his Wi-Fi cuts, if it cuts both of us, or if you can still hear me. But I hope you're hanging in there, chat. We've been talking about a lot of breeding, a lot of seeds. We've been showing off the worms, which the worms are phenomenal. He reached in his worm bin, and one handful he had easily over 100. He counted them out. There was over 100 worms. So, oh, I think I can hear you there.
Yeah, you can hear me. Sorry, man. Yeah, the connection sucked. Couldn't make it happen. You can still hear me
Hey,
though?
I can hear you. It's just a little too far for your Wi-Fi. Eh?
Yeah. I actually bought these like hubs yesterday that were supposed to make the internet work out there, but oh well. You'll just have to check out the videos.
You know, anybody watching, I highly recommend subscribing. You know, check out Wormhole. He's got some great stuff, and although he's not able to show you tonight, I guarantee you in the next couple of days he's going to be showing off his ladies in the daytime, and they're beautiful.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it, man.
It's truth. It's truth. I'm not.
Oh, thanks a lot, dude. Yeah, well, growing weed is just one of those wonderful things that we're lucky we get to do here without any huge issues from the police or anything. And happy
We kind
to
of
share it with everybody. Honestly, I was like losing my passion for it a little bit when I wasn't. I didn't have a channel because I just kind of did it for long enough that it just sort of got a little bit like stale,
that's a big thing I've noticed too is seeing the change between like being not so open as it is now with it being completely legal. It did seem like we kind of lost the passion. There was the people before us like Mark Emery and like the Overgrow guys who really, or the MMRAs that actually like went to court and fought for our rights to be able to grow these plants. We're pretty damn lucky. We're really lucky for
Absolutely.
what people did before us.
Oh, absolutely, man. I mean, just to be able to talk about it openly in the in the internet world is kind of crazy to me. I'm really trying to get my thing back up here, so give me one more minute, man.
No worries. Yeah, I could hear you, but I just can't see your screen yet. So
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what that is.
I don't know if the chat can see it, but I got my dog. She's going nuts behind me. She brought her toy in, and she hasn't left me alone since.
It seems like a sweet dog, though.
Oh, it's beautiful. I love my tacos.
Dope, man. Yeah, I don't know if I can fix my camera. I'm trying my best here.
No?
It's a terrible way to get out. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Maybe it's popping up now. Hold on a sec. There we go. Let's go.
There we go.
See if I can get it back. Sorry, man. Yeah, the technology still eludes me.
I feel it, man. I'm just some redneck in the bush myself.
Yeah. I feel you there, man. Well, talking to MoonbeamCharles, this is dope, man. Really enjoy it. Hey, did you ever come out to Ontario?
I haven't spent really much time in the East Coast. I do got to though. My stepdad's Newfoundlander, so gotta head over that way.
Nice, man. Well, hopefully you can make it out here one of these days. I'm hoping to do some kind of tour where we get to go across the country and meet some of the people. Part of my job is I actually get to like go across the country pretty regularly, so I could actually kind of make it a mission to go places, and it's not too costly.
Nice. As I said, if it saves you a little bit, always welcome to set up an RV or pitch a tent. Or I actually got a spare bedroom too. You and the wife, kids, more than welcome.
Nice, man. Cool, man. So how many strains, what's your harvest look like this year? Like how much are you expecting to get? And in terms of strains and seeds and things, what kind of progress are you making this year?
Ooh, okay. So for our UK visitors, for our people from the United States listening in, Canada, our laws are we are allowed 20 or 30 grams in public and 1,000 grams at home. So I can pull a lot. I can pull a lot for my plants, but a lot's probably going to end up going in the compost pile and whatnot. I shoot for my outdoor. I used to try growing these giant plants, and I would get way more than I needed. So now I'm doing just some smaller ones, and I'm hoping, as long as I got my 1,000 grams that I can keep at home, I'll be happy.
Yeah, you're good. What about like growing, breeding? Like what kind of
Breeding.
plant kind of progress? What frontiers are you hoping to push this year?
So this year, one of my main goals. Sorry, there's a moth. One of my main goals is I'm going back to those older genetics. So I'm running something from 2012, something my brother made back in 2012, and yeah, I'm just trying to run that and go back to my roots. And I'm working some of my lines. I got about like 7 lines that I've made that are unique and distinct all their own, and I'm working about 2 of those as well as running over the old stuff. Yeah, that's my this summer. That's my summer projects, you know. You still there?
Yeah, man. Sorry, I'm having some microphone issues. I got you now, though, man. Cool stuff, man. Very cool stuff. Okay, I have one more question, a couple more questions for you around like what would you call something stable? When would you determine that it's stable? I've heard
Oh, that's a
demos.
very that's a very important one. And this is one thing that sucks about our community is you have people that have bred and worked lines to be stable, and that takes time to. So we earlier we talked about the square, like using back crossing to make a stable line exactly similar to the parent,
Mhm.
or as a way to stabilize a line is back crossing. But to actually what describes stable and like the definition of stable is when you can have your seeds turn out exactly like the parents.
Mm.
So if you pop 10 beans, you're not going to have 2 that flower at 7 weeks, 2 that flower at 10. You're not going to have one that's really small, one that's really tall. They're all going to turn out basically, they're almost going to be clones. So when
Mm.
you stabilize the line, it's going to be almost like running clones. Each seed should be almost the exact same.
And is that where you're at with some of yours?
Oh yeah.
Nice. That's super
You
dope, man.
you to really stabilize something, you you basically only have to cross it 4 or 5 times back to itself.
Okay.
So
That's why I hear a lot of F5 and F6 in the generation kind of lineage.
so a lot of my lines, instead of back crossing, I'll do inbred lines. And that's where you get into those like F7, F8s, where you just keep going down the line, dialing it in, dialing it in, dialing. And to me, those are the seeds you should be buying. Because if you buy an F1 from somebody that's just put 2 things together, you don't know what you're gonna get. And you could have one plant flower at 11 weeks and one plant flower at 10 weeks. Like it's just not gonna line up, right?
Hmm.
Versus if you go to these breeders and these well-known companies that have been in the game doing this, they have those lines that are worked out to say, oh, I want a Bubba Kush, I'm going to get a Bubba Kush.
Hmm.
I want something that's going to flower by September, I'm going to get something that's done by September.
Makes sense. Okay, what about like have you ever made any like freak show strains by accident or like on purpose?
So
Anything that like really was just like wild?
earlier we were talking about how I use duckfoot for some of its cold hardiness.
Mhm.
The freak shows, my duckfoots my duckfoot hybrids, the crosses, I've actually tried to kind of get rid of the weird leaf shape, but there is some bits that kind of come through. Like I was showing you the back fan leaves kind of folding over themselves.
Right.
But I got one freak show. I got is there's an older girl. She self tops herself. She No matter what I do, it doesn't matter what I do. She is going to bush out. She won't have one single atypical meristem, like one top. She will.
Hmm.
She'll just bush out. It's really weird. It doesn't look the healthiest. It's just what she does. But
Interesting.
she stays small. Like she gets like this big, and I can pull just shy of a quarter pound off of her because it's just
Wow.
branched out.
Wow. So it's a freak show in many ways.
Yeah, she's
Sounds
a
like a
weird one.
heavy yielder for a small plant.
She's a weird one. They're small buds, so that's the real problem.
So now that like this industry in the States looks like it's going to be shaken up, do you think that like how do you think that's going to change the breeding like scene? Because there's going to be a lot of people obviously do it, going back to maybe what it was like prior to
I
legalized
hope
or like more illegal means of getting seeds. And there's obviously commercial versions of these seed places now. So we're probably going to go back a little bit, or what do you think is going to happen here?
a lot of people are probably disheartened, and there's probably a lot of seed companies that are a little pissed off because there's a lot of money being
Mm,
thrown under the like. There's a lot of money. There's probably some pissed off people, but the people that got the money, I think they're gonna switch over to the clones and the tissue cultures, so they can still provide their products. It's just it's going to be a different form of their products. But I think overall, I think it actually might bring back the gas. Like it might bring back that stuff we miss, because now the people who are going to be wanting to keep that stuff alive, there's going to be more people with the passion doing it, because the
mm.
corporation, the greedy aspect's going to be kind of taken out, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. No, that makes sense. That's what I was thinking too, because there's a lot of discussion about, well, like what it was like before it became so many available options and so many huge companies. Obviously, you were talking earlier about how many you can start with. Well, starting with 1,000 is a luxury I'm sure some of these breeders have, and smaller time people are probably going to get these kind of more crazy small batches that are going to come up with some pretty wild things maybe.
Small batch, small batch handcrafted, it always seems to be the best in my opinion. And
Hmm.
what, I don't know if it's the same for you as it is for me, but I can go buy stuff from the store and it looks pretty. It looks like some of the best stuff ever. It says it's got the highest THC levels, like 30%. But nothing from the store nowadays hits like the stuff used to back in the day.
So on that note, what do you think is like like a flavor or a thing, if you could bring a strain back or a flavor that's lost, what do you think it would be?
So I've been trying to figure this out for years, because that's the main thing, right? Like for me, there's that hash plant that just, it's, as I said, you could smell it a mile away, no problems. Like it just stank. It tastes like you would take a hoot and it would just leave that taste on the tip of your tongue. For me, I've been trying to figure out what that is, and for the longest time, I was like, oh, everybody's talking about terpenes, and I would be like, okay, so myrcene's probably the terpene. I would look for stuff with myrcene, but it still didn't hit right. And I'm like, okay, so it's not the terpenes. And then we started learning about sulfates and sulfides, and like isotol or isotol or indol, which is like a precursor to DMT. And like we started learning more about these other compounds that could potentially be what we call gas or like kush.
Hmm.
And I think this is the nerdy like scientist in me. It's like trying to break it down and figure out what it is. I think it's a combination of potentially indol and camphor oil, and those are kind of some of the things I'm trying to hunt for, because I'm thinking that's what gas is, but
Mm.
it's still up for interpretation, because I've had tons of people tell me they've got the gas, and you smoke it and it's good. It's good, but it's not the gas.
I'm hoping I have the swamp gas at the end of the summer. We'll see though.
I think it looks real bubble. It looks real bubble gummy, which is pretty gassy.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we'll hope so. Cool, man. What's an underrated strain in your opinion? Something that like people maybe as a breeder you find interesting, but maybe people this doesn't have the sort of like bag appeal or whatever.
I think an underrated strain would be when you're kind of working with Bubba Kush, Bubba
Yeah,
98, Bubba
yeah.
98. It's a classic. It's a great yielder. Some other kind of underrated strains would be, let's take Duckfoot for instance. Duckfoot kind of sucks. I would never want to smoke nothing but Duckfoot, but there's traits that you can get from it that could make your hybrids amazing. You know, if you're not trying to get the weird leaf, and you're going for like maybe just the yield aspects or the cold resistance, you can pull some pretty phenomenal unicorns from things you wouldn't expect.
Cool. Dope, man. Okay, here's a rapid fire question set. Okay, you ready for this? You can only answer one answer. It's got to be quick. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Indica or sativa?
Indica,
Indoor or outdoor?
always outdoor, but indoor is always going to be a little better.
Okay. Living soil or hydro?
Okay, this is. I'm not gonna pick. I'm not gonna pick it. I'm not gonna pick a side of the fence because I love hydro. I love pumping out in 7 weeks. You know, hitting up to the 1,800 parts per million, getting your CO2 in the 2,000. I love maxing my engine out, like just fucking ripping her. That said, I would never want to bring salt-based fertilizers into my natural biome.
Okay.
So, organic outdoors, hydro indoors.
Okay. It was or, but that's fine. Clone or seed?
Clone. That I don't know how to answer that.
I don't either. That's a weird one. Okay. Regulars or feminized?
Ooh, if I'm getting them from somebody, I'm going to say feminized.
Okay. Favorite terpene?
Either indole, so they're not terpenes, they're not alcohols, but they are flavonoids, so they can help with the flavor. Either indole or camphor oil. Maybe myrcene, but I think indole or camphor oil.
Okay. Coffee or cannabis first thing in the morning?
Why not both?
Just what comes first?
That's my morning routine. My wake and bake with my cup of coffee.
Okay, so the wake and bake first, then the cup of coffee, or cup of coffee first?
You know, my bong is closer to me.
Okay. One strain that everybody should grow, which is a weird thing, I think, as a question, because obviously it depends on where you are. But how would you answer that?
Whatever the OG closest to you has.
Good answer.
And what I mean by OG is not ocean grown, not like gangster stuff. I mean the older guy closest to you. Whatever he's got, that's what you should grow.
Okay, I like it. And your final question, your dream breeding project.
My dream breeding project would be to get my nursery license under Health Canada and run a greenhouse setup on my 55 acres, completely compliant under Health Canada standards. That would be both greenhouse and supplemental lighting, but sectioned off into different areas so I could do different environments.
That would be dope. And well, you got the property, man. I bet you could actually get that past the finish line if you wanted to, if you had the money. I suppose.
I wanted. That's the biggest thing, right? Like it's about $250,000 minimum. Back when I first looked at it, the safe alone. So to meet Health Canada standards for like meeting the good production practices standards.
Okay, wait. Raymond just told us we have to take a bong rip. It's bong rip time, motherfuckers. He says in the group chat. I'd have to
There's a little bit. There's a little bit left before it's cashed. But yeah, no. Back in the day, it would be $2 million minimum just for the safe.
Oh
but
my god!
Looking at it last year, it maybe 250,000. Maybe might be enough for investment. But I'm probably going to do hemp. I'm looking at hemp licensing to do CBG.
It's a little bit easier to get past.
You know, I want to grow weed. I want to grow a lot of weed, and I might not be able to grow THC, but this might be an option for being able to do a little more.
Honestly, that was the cool thing about switching to worms for me, is because I went from it being like a thing that I was.
Cheers, by the way.
Cheers, buddy.
Keep talking. Keep going.
Oh. This is like a thing I was bartering with, back in the day, and then I had the worms, and I was like, it's not the same thing, but I'm using the same scale. I'm meeting people, and they're coming over, and we're selling things. And now it's like a legal means of doing it. And honestly, it really scratches the itch. Like it makes me feel like, I'm selling something that I make and it's different, but it's also equally fun in its own way. So if you can have fun with hemp, I bet that's a cool world to be in, man.
I love growing this plant. This plant has brought me, like I told you about how I'm not promoting anybody under the age to do this, to always follow your local laws. But for me, growing up, it changed my life. This plant helped my life for the better, and it's always going to be a part of it, and I love growing it. So
Absolutely, man. I couldn't agree with you more.
any aspects that I can do from that, I will do.
That's cool, man. Okay, so I got another. So you got that business idea. I got a business idea for you that I've been putting out to all the lives and seeing people's reactions and just trying to find some investors, honestly. So here it is. Okay, so we're gonna call it ashes to hashes. Okay, so basically what we're gonna do, we're gonna take ashes of family members, people who've passed away, loved ones, and we're gonna take the ashes and plant them with cannabis, and then we're gonna process the cannabis into bricks of hash, and then we're gonna have like messages, like like this person's name when they were alive, maybe a little like thing. We could even do seeds. We could do seeds. We could do buds themselves. We could do hash. We could do extracts, and you get a whole goodie bag. It's called ashes to hashes. What do you think?
I'm so down. I think that's fucking. Have you ever watched Super High Me? Or not Super? Fuck. Oh my God, Buster Rhymes. Buster Rhymes had a movie. It's
if you're in the group chat and you want to be turned into a brick of hash when you die.
In the movie, they smoke their friend, and their friend comes back to like help them with their tests and stuff.
Yeah.
Because they used the ashes to grow their weed. I think that's fucking, as a way to remember people, to have like a bud that you could, like, if my buddy passed away, I could have a bud of it. Like, me and my brother have talked about this since we were young teenagers. I think that's, I'm down. I'm down in any way.
I mean, maybe we could like make it work, man. You get this grow going, and then I come and with all the ashes.
So we would have to go make sure we're doing everything legal, because you can't just like transport human remains. But
well, I mean, they're in ash form. I mean, can't they be mailed or something?
We'll have to figure out the details. Make sure we dot our I's, cross our T's. But yeah, no, that's cool. I like that.
I think there would be a lot of people who would be really into it. Just thinking like,
it's a great source of potassium.
Yeah. There's also the thing that you can do. We talked about this before on this show, but like you can get your body decomposed in mushrooms now and be made into a yard of compost. Which,
that's
if there was a way to go, I think I would. I think that's how I want to go. Honestly, like that sounds great, because then my friends could plant things in me, whatever they want.
I think it's cool. The only thing that scares me about the mushrooms is like, do you know about the cordyceps mushroom?
No.
So cordyceps is this mushroom. It'll infect bugs, and it'll take.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So yeah, it takes over their body and everything. If you got mushrooms growing on human bodies, like, what's to stop it from going from a dead body to a live body? It just scares me a little bit. It could be the next zombie apocalypse.
Yeah. But anyways, lots of options for our future business plans. Really nice chilling with you, man. I think we're going to shut her down, because
sounds good, bro. Like 3 hours almost.
Yeah, we honestly just chatted so hard for 3 hours, man. It was really cool hanging out with you, man. And honestly, anytime you want to come up, you can come up. We're just like have a guest. I didn't post it tonight because we were just going to chat. But tomorrow, I think we might go live, and I'll just post it. And anybody wants to jump up for any amount of time, you come on up.
If you got downtime or anything, like you don't got anybody scheduled, you need somebody to fill in, give me 2 days notice and I'm your man. So
that sounds great, man. Well, let's keep it going, dude. So we're gonna do our arrangement for silver colloidal. You'll send me some of that. That's dope. We got some seeds coming, and I'm gonna send you some honey. I'll be your honey man.
100%. I know you've been kind of hesitant about sending me some leachate or something.
Oh no, I'm not hesitant. I'd send you that for sure.
Send me. I'm more inclined for like maybe some worms or some leachate, because I would love to show how your stuff is like doing in the garden, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. What I would send, honestly, I would just, if I was going to do that, I would probably go the mile to send the castings, because the castings are really where it's at. Like, I know
Okay.
the leachate would be good, but but the thing about my bins, if you saw them, the bottom kind of is too big to concentrate the leachate. Like, a lot of times when you get like a tap
I,
and it's just one single source, mine's like a tray. So the water, like when I pour it in the top, it immediately comes out the bottom. So it's really clear. Like, leachate often that you're maybe thinking of is like a little bit like darker in color, because I've had that before when I've had the tap variety.
so what
So
I'm
I just don't really collect it,
what I'm thinking, it's for me, it's more about the biological. So I'm sending you some seeds, right? And you
Yeah,
could do whatever you want with those seeds. You could crossbreed them with your stuff. You could do whatever you want, but it's still got your lineage. It's got your name attached to it, right? What I'm thinking with your worm juices, I need inoculant. The way you inoculated that paper, I with your
That's what you want.
biologics, all I
Yeah.
need is that starter to say that see
Yeah,
how
but
it
I would
works,
almost
right?
argue that the castings would do it way faster.
If that's what you're the master on the worms. So if that's what you're
Well, I would just say,
recommending,
like, that's really what it's at, man. That's why I like the worm farms in the holes themselves, because, like, if you imagine you put that organic, like, those castings out there, like, they're definitely going, but at a certain point, the microbes, like, are not getting the engine that started them there, which was the worms. So
I'll
if you
be
keep the worms like rocking within the plants, then they're really keeping any amount of, it doesn't even matter what the castings were you started with, as long as there's organics in there, they're just going to be creating that slow drip. They're not great. If you looked at the NPK ratio, it's like pretty low on everything, but it's only
I do,
mostly nitrogen.
I do a compost tea that's like I've dialed in like decades
Yeah.
of just like figuring it out, and I got the NPK with my compost tea, but the
Perfect.
biologics that your worms bring in, I think that
Well, that's
just
what I would say to do then, is like take the whatever I send you in the castings and make a compost tea, because basically when you make compost tea, you're trying to multiply the microbes, and there's more microbes available in a cold compost situation than a
you,
hot
you get
compost.
you get your local microbes like a lot of the
Yeah.
leaves and stuff will have your yeasts and stuff underneath of them, but there's specific microbes that you'll get from the soil, like from the worms, that it's going to be different than my local biome, and I'd just love to see how that interacts with it.
Okay, man. Well, you got a deal. We're sending shit to each other as much as possible within the legal means, and
And
we'll get it going on, man.
so like if I get that starter from you, I'm going to consult with you to make sure I follow your recipes to make sure they're
Honestly, I would love to send you some red wigglers along with everything. I'll literally send you 100, which is a really small amount. But basically, all my in ground worm farms in the plants outside, that's what I started with. And as long as they're contained within the pot that you put them in, they're not really going to go anywhere. And
okay.
then they'll just multiply. And in the end of the year, just take them out of their holes and bring them inside. And then you'll eventually have a very dedicated like garden population, and you'll know what they are. So you don't have to worry that it's like not the kind that is actually going to do the thing that's going to help you. Like the worms that you might find there, maybe you do already have them. You can even collect them. But I would
I do
suggest
have
that, because then
some
you would
worms.
be making the microbes for yourself. And like you can create the factory quite easily, like even just a little bit, like especially if you're doing a tea, you can get away with a small amount of castings, because you're just multiplying those microbes, adding them to the soil. Then they're doing the work of like breaking down the stuff within your soil, right?
How cool would it be if like next year my biomass, like my leftover biomass, I throw all this cannabis material, and
Exactly.
we got a fertilizer that's literally the fire in, fire out, made
Fire
from.
in, fire out, buddy. That's going to be the name of this episode for sure.
That's what's been going through my head.
Right on, man. Okay, we will wrap it up though. Moonbeam Charles, again, guys, check out his channel. Sub up. He's got really cool content about growing and breeding and just living a good life out in northern BC. And we're really happy you came on the show, man.
I'm
Again, you're always welcome back, dude.
awesome. It's been a pleasure, as I said, and your channel is definitely one of my favorites as well there. So if anybody's not subscribed to Wormhole, make sure you go over there as well.
Appreciate that, man, and I appreciate you coming out tonight, man. Okay, so we'll let you go, dude. Have a great evening to everybody in the chat. Thank you so much for coming out. Sorry, we got really deep in so many wormholes tonight that we really didn't pay attention to you guys too much. But sorry about that. But we really appreciate you guys all coming out. And yeah, every Friday we'll be doing this, and it sounds like Moonbeam will be back
Cool.
as a frequent guest. You're always welcome up, buddy. Thanks again, man. Have a good night, everybody.
Cheers.